Good morning, folks. Welcome to the AM show. How are you all doing? I hope your day is off to a great start, although it's just 6 a.m. in the morning. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akakwo. Now, first on our list for today's edition of the AM show, Denisia Poma-Ejei will be serving you the first bulletin of the day right here on the Joy News channel. And after that, we'll get into the newspaper review segment as we do it every day. Now, today, Dr. Wisdom Kofi Dogbe, will be joining us. He's a financial analyst. He'll be joining us to assess the stories that have been captured in the newspapers. And after that, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will be bringing you AM Sports right here on the AM show. And after that, we get into our big stories. Now, today is Thursday, so you know that we have AM Exclusive coming your way. A very engaging interaction with a man you don't want to miss a beat listening. Now, I want to leave his details out because I want you to, I wanted to come to you as a surprise. So make a date and stay with us right here on the AM show for that all-exclusive interview. Also this morning is a subject matter of mental health, and we focus on postpartum depression, a mental struggle of mothers after delivery. It is still a week of celebrating our mothers. Now, what are the causes of this postpartum depression? How can we manage it? And what are some of the preventive measures? We'll talk to experts from the Mental Health Authority. So join us with your comments, with your thoughts, either via social media or when we open the phone lines for you this morning to join the conversation in the studio. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Denisia Poma-Ejei is coming your way with the AM News this morning. Stay tuned.
Good morning, this is AM News. My name is Denisia Poma-Ejei. Now we start on a rather sad note. Family of a 12-year-old boy who was reported missing following the torrential rains in Accra are in a state of shock at the news of his death. The remains of the teenager was found in the Korle Lagoon 2 days after a rainstorm caused gridlock and flooding in parts of the city. There's more in the following report by Adobia Asare.
2 days after it rained heavily in some parts of Accra, I'm talking about Monday, the 13th of May, 2024, the lifeless body of a 12-year-old boy was found in the Korle Lagoon today. According to reports, the boy, in an attempt to get home when it was raining, tried to jump a gutter and unfortunately slipped into it. Now, this gutter washed him into a bigger outlet, which then washed him into the Korle Lagoon around the Agbagboloshi Sekins market area, where the police have exhumed it for further investigation. This incident occurred around the Kotobabi Mamobi vicinity, and then the police, together with a few family members, were here a few minutes ago to exhume the body from the lagoon. Now, the incident attracted a lot of people who came around to sympathize with some of the family members. Some of them were covering their noses because of the stench that was coming with it. The body has been taken away by the Kotobabi police units for further investigations. For Joy News, Adobe Asare, Agbogbloshi.
Now, spare parts dealers in Aboseokai are raising concerns over the impact of the cedi depreciation on their business operations. They say the weakening cedi has made it more challenging to import goods. They spoke to Sweetie Abochi on Citizen's microphone.
Importing from outside the area about Yemaimu. Since importing them into who be here, seeing to find Sikano and Quaman on it. You say, yes, sir. Yes, that's why I normally call that dollars. Now, dollar also equanimpa na affect you, Jumano.
Saying they affect him.
Okay. So I said, dollar no quanimua. You have to free to a guy or saying shipment more dollars, duty dollars. What I said, I can't say coffee and say dollars. It's a costra. See the tibia important no, no coffee money buy no. And so no, he say, we bet me a yan and sika don't yan and faso. A bassa yan retailers no. Never say yes so. A TV tum. Now market, I slow.
You're saying that when the dollar goes up or when the cedi falls, they're unable to buy as much as they want to, and they are unable to even sell at the prices for which they can make profit. So if, for instance, you were taking 10 containers of products, goods, you cannot afford to even get as much containers as possible because your money does not have enough purchasing power to do that.
But the dollar no peja cost rosa on your macra won't be ton. And any pana babaton can be way. Scacrono to Upejanas are the whole Baba so I want me to a vessel cofa another way be out or no bet me I and Adi and Ako. That is a wow crying a man. Meanwhile, what's the sense canicus here? That's when your man won't to win ton. That is a whole true. Oh, it is Stremo. Dollar no dear, a killing a hard drink, a hard business mind for a drink, pa, and tea. Or quite will be on way to me a fossil. Abuama dollar system. Obia yana having into one shop on my fossil.
Right. So not only are they unable to buy their goods, the citizens, regular, ordinary Ghanaians, transport operators are unable to purchase these goods because of the hike in prices. Now, recall that the various transport unions were threatening to increase transport fares, and this gives us a sense of why they are doing that. Because if they have to buy these parts that they need for maintenance to be able to run their businesses at double the prices, and fuel prices are also going up, don't forget that. So at what point do they reconcile the business they're doing, make some profits, and then, you know, live some sort of comfortable life? So just to summarize or interpret, he's saying that there was a time that you'd see containers here every single day offloading goods because, you know, the business is booming. Now, you hardly see any container. And I mean, from my own observation, I haven't seen any container here. It's been 2 weeks, like he's saying, and there's only been one container here to offload goods. One, because they can't afford to be buying goods, and two, their customers and clients cannot afford to buy these goods. So this is how it ricochets into various businesses, because if your transportation system or transportation is so expensive, you're tempted to also increase your prices of the various goods and services that you apply so that you can also make some profit.
Now from cedi depreciation, let's zoom in into the financial sector, because the locked up Investment Holders Forum is demanding the revocation of the licenses of NDK Financial Services and 3 other financial institutions that have failed to pay their depositors' funds. Their meeting with the Bank of Ghana in March over the issue ended inconclusively. The group picketed the Finance Ministry on Wednesday, where they clashed with the Deputy Finance Minister. Kenneth JC has more in the following report.
Have you seen that? The Locked Up Investment Holders Forum has given government until next week, Wednesday, to address their concerns, or they will picket the Finance Ministry again. The members picketed the Finance Ministry earlier today to demand the ministry to revoke the licenses of the financial institutions that have failed to pay their deposited funds.
Yes. It's our own sweat that we keep there for our tomorrow. It's investment. We didn't put it there to get any profit. We put it there for tomorrow. If we are sick and we are not well, so that we can take it to feed our family. And now, about 4 or 5 years now, we are not getting anything. Respond, nothing. Nothing. We are here. We are hungry. We need our money. We need our money. I'm Georgina Tenge. I need my money. I need my money to feed my family.
Annoyed with this government. Not finance. The bigger picture. I'm a Ghana. When a Ghana boy misbehaves, they will tell you, it is because your mother did not bring you up properly. So they will take the problem from you to your mother. So I'm transferring the problem from finance to the government. So who should we blame? Who should we blame? You do it till your aim is achieved. Do you know how old I am? Do you know what that money is meant for? Do you know how long I have saved it for.
I've been on pension for the past 4 years, and it's a lifelong savings. Whilst you are in employment, you plan against the future. You make savings against the future for any eventuality, so that when you are in retirement, you wouldn't become a burden on your children. You have worked for so many years, you've made a lot of investments. You've come home and you cannot access your funds.
The picketers got frustrated when the Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amwa, arrived at the ministry and refused to grant them audience.
That you cannot even send a guy to your office to talk to him? Is it not an insult? Hasn't he worked in Ghana for the past over 30 years? Where you were schooling, where the guy was working. That you cannot send him to your office to attend to you? What kind of life is this? What kind of impudence in this?
So
send him to your office, my friend.
Yes. Yeah.
Send him to your office and talk to him. Send him to your office and talk to him. It's an insult for you to talk to you.
You should go to the office and talk to
you.
him.
You don't have any respect for your father.
There are several correspondences to this effect.
What kind of impudence in this? What kind of impudence in this? We have worked for so many years to bring you what you are.
Everything we have.
What work have you done?
Some are keeping it under their beds, and we have decided to invest it. Some have decided to keep it in their beds.
You keep quiet or I leave here.
Wait in the bone. We'll come back and come again until you give the clearance. We'll continue coming here until you give us the clearance.
The convener of the group, Dr. Anani Entry, who was eventually allowed to speak to the Deputy Finance Minister, said Dr. Amwa assured of government's response as soon as possible. But Dr. Entry says if the response does not arrive within a week, they will be back to picket.
We had a fruitful discussion. I have briefed him what has happened so far. It looks as if he didn't have knowledge about what is happening. And I can agree. If sometimes it hasn't come to your desk, you wouldn't know. So what has happened is that he has, I have briefed him. He now understands the issues. He will go and find the letter. The petition, I've told him the petition was delivered by me, myself, to the office of the minister, so it cannot get missing anywhere. Plus the reminder. So he's going to take it up and have a discussion with the minister and give me or give us their response as soon as practicable.
The depositors have accused the Finance Ministry of refusing on several occasions to grant them audience and listen to their plea. Now, some of their pleas include declaring some of these financial institutions insolvent and revoking their licenses. They say some of the financial institutions are still operating but are refusing to pay them their funds. From the Ministry of Finance, Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
And the Electoral Commission has dismissed accusations by President of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, that it's intentionally disenfranchised the people of Sancho Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likwe in the 2020 parliamentary elections. It will be recalled that on December 6, 2020, just a day to the general election, the EC directed that residents in the SAL areas only vote in the presidential election. The constituents have since been without representation in Parliament. The EC says it cannot be blamed for what happened. Dr. Bosman Asari is deputy chair at the commission.
So, in 2020, Franklin Cudjoe of Imani, who hails from that particular part of the country, has said clearly that you disenfranchise people. Why do you disagree with that? It's obvious on the face of it that you did.
I think one thing our listeners and our viewers must know is that in 2020, the Guan district was created in 2020. And before the referendum that created the regions, the Sancho Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, Likpe, those areas were part of the voter region.
Yeah.
And they were carved out of the voter region, so they joined the Uti region. A new district was created in that particular area called the Guan district. So when the district was created, the Electoral Commission was notified of the creation on 10th November. By law, when you want to create a constituency, when you want to create a constituency, you are supposed to lay a CI in Parliament. And when we prepare CI, we send it to the Attorney General. So when we heard that the district had been created, we put the CI, we had already prepared the CI, so we sent it to the AG advised. Just when we were about to go to Parliament, the information came that Parliament had gone on recess for the elections.
But that's something you should have known.
No, we shouldn't have known. That's the Parliament's work.
But Parliament going on recess is public knowledge.
No, they go on, that's their business. So the EC did everything to be able to create that particular constituency. And when people hear the EC was the one that disenfranchised, then they don't understand the processes. Because Parliament created the district. So when Parliament created the district, for the CI to even be laid and matured in Parliament, it requires 21 sitting days. And 21 sitting days, we know Parliament usually does not work on Saturdays, on Sundays, and on Mondays. So when you look at the time we were notified in writing by the Ministry of Local Government on 10th November, and to even lay a CI, before the CI will be laid, you have to send it to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. Once you send the CI to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, they will invite the Electoral Commission to discuss the document. That alone can take about a week to 2 weeks. So practically, the time the Gwan district was created, it wasn't possible for the EC to create a constituency at that time. So anyone who makes the claim that the EC was the one that disenfranchised the Guam people doesn't understand how the system works.
You said you were notified by the Minister for Local Government
on 10th November
in writing. But why do you wait for the political head to notify you when this is a constitutional action that has happened?
It wasn't possible for the East to create a constituency for them when they had not gotten the district. This is how our processes work. And we've also heard some people saying that, oh, why didn't you allow them to vote in the Jasikai?
I mean, but the creation of the district is a constitutional, it's pursuant to a constitutional provision.
Yes.
And once it's done, the Constitution lays out a clear process
and looking at the time
of the EC's own
so look, which we did. Looking at the time, it wasn't possible.
Let's move on to the labor front, where 3 pre-tertiary teacher unions in the central region have staged a protest in Cape Coast, accusing government of feet-dragging in the negotiation of their collective bargaining agreement. The 3 teacher unions say they are dissatisfied with government's handling of the negotiation. There's more in the following report.
The 3 teacher unions, NATS, NAGRAT, and Concerned Teachers, staged a demonstration through the streets of Cape Coast and later presented their petition to the Regional Coordinating Council. Central Regional Secretary of NAT, Abdullah Yusuf, addressed the media before handing over the petition to the representative of the regional minister.
Since the negotiation of our collective agreement in 2009 and after the 2020 collective agreement, the unions have known no peace, owing to government's continued failure to implement allowances agreed on as well as fulfill promises given. Honorable, the allowances we have been battling over the past 15 years and counting are 17. However, due to several considerations, we have reduced them to 4. These are 1. Deprived area allowance, 2. Extra assessment allowance, 3. The book data online teaching support allowance, and 4. Upward adjustment of the CPD allowance. Despite this gesture of good faith from the unions, the government is still adamant and has demonstrated bad faith. This has oftentimes culminated in high-level despondency and dissatisfaction for leadership. We have had to hang on a thin line with our members complaining bitterly. These complaints have become worse, especially as our members are reeling under the utter hardship imposed on us all by the current economic conditions in the country. We wish to emphasize that the last 24 months have been most torturous for the Ghanaian teacher, with no ray of hope of release initiated by the employer. Pursuant to the above, we call on the employer once again to honor its promises and commitment to our teachers by addressing our concerns over the allowances enumerated above. We wish to stress that we have had enough of the disinterest, feet dragging, and unfairness of the employer, and will thus not tolerate this situation any longer.
The representative of the regional minister thanked the protesters for protesting peacefully and assured them that their petition would be sent to the appropriate quarters for redress.
Now, Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Mustapha Gbande, has alleged that the data of over 900 people have been deleted from the voters' register by the Electoral Commission. This, he alleged, was done on the blind side of political parties. Speaking at a press conference in Wa after touring some registration centers, Mustapha Gbande urged the EC to ensure peaceful, free and fair elections in the 2024 polls. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
One major concern raised by the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Gbande, has to do with names that he alleged were deleted from the voters' register.
We came to Nadoli Kaliu only to realize that they had only one machine. And when we inquired the reason they had one machine, the explanation is that they don't qualify the threshold to have more machines because in the last registration they did 1,300. But on the records of what the political parties have and what was captured in the Electoral Commission's database in the last registration was over 2,292. What that means is that over 900 voters have been deleted from the Electoral Commission's database, unknown to political parties, unknown to the individuals, and even unknown to the Electoral Commission offices, because they've not been able to give us any information. While Central, we found out that over 120 names were deleted. When the officer was questioned, he couldn't provide any answer. He says the constituency executive should go and bring evidence. They brought 120 evidence of deleted names. As we speak, they don't know whether to recapture those individuals as new entrants, whereby the Electoral Commission will come back and accuse them of doing double registration. But there's evidence that they had registered previously, but their data cannot be found on the Electoral Commission database. This revelation is very amazing, very surprising, very shocking.
Upper West Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Ali Osman Adamu, however, debunked the claims of the NDC deputy scribe.
Please, no name has been deleted from any register. As far as the Electoral Commission is aware, we haven't deleted any name from the register. It is an assertion by the NDC that some names, you can find some names in the register, but I don't know how they even got it. Well, they said they have done some audit of the registration we did, and that is what they have come out with, and we are not aware.
So you think that in the case of the NDC, it's much ado about nothing?
Actually, that is your word. It's much ado about nothing.
Mustapha Gbande said the MPP has performed abysmally in government and has fears that they will not be retained in power in the 2024 polls, and has therefore devised methods that will enable them to hold on to power. One of them is the alleged person of foreigners to registration centers for them to register, and the other is the alleged registration of minors in the Lamuse constituency.
I have given evidence of these minors, and I have given evidence of officers of the MPP who were involved in these things. And so what are they talking about? We are not just speaking for speaking's sake.
The people were driven away, and they know the only reason they allowed the people to go back is because they admit that they were minors. If they were not minors, they would have insisted and they would have registered.
Meanwhile, constituency executives of the MPP have debunked the claims of the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Musa Ogbandi. In a statement released to Joy News, Secretary of the MPP in the Nandom constituency, Woyan Martin, stated that the allegation by the NDC Deputy Secretary are baseless, unfounded, and could be described as figment of his own imagination. He averred that the MPP is fully aware of the provision of CI 126 and 91 regarding the registration criteria of all registrants, among others, and will not do anything to violate the provision of the above constitutional provision. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
And that's it for AM News. But financial analyst Dr. Wisdom Dube will be joining us for the news review. My name is Denisia Pomaije. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Welcome again to the AM show. It's time now for us to get into the newspapers and find out what's happening, what's going on all around us. But of course, Benjamin Akako is here in the studio with me. Benjamin, how are you doing this morning? Don't say you're tired. I realize that you say that often. And I think the more you say it, the more your brain believes it. So you can say that
this is not a belief thing. I am.
Right.
At some point, I'm going to do what must be done.
Yeah.
You know what that is.
Take a break.
Yeah. But we come here because we love what we do. You look, I was just looking at you not in the cameras, but on our
monitor?
Big screen. And you look really good in your color with the background. Yeah. I'm sure those of you watching, you can send comments through and let me know whether it is not true that she looks very good with the background. You are blending with
You're very generous with your compliments.
the background. And your green, dash of green with your spectacles being green as well, with the brooch having some green in there. What else is green about your outfit today?
Bring it in. Have you watched that animation?
What? Well, I love animation, so maybe something I should check out.
Anyway.
But welcome aboard the News Reviews segment. We'll be introducing our guests shortly, but this segment, as always, brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Listen, your health is your wealth, they say, but if you don't do maintenance, just as if you don't do maintenance on a car, it can go, and give you so many problems. It's the same way if you don't do checkups on your body, you could end up in a very bad way. Just, was it yesterday? When we had the patients suffering from different illnesses, kidney illnesses.
Dialysis crisis.
Even yesterday night, I went to church for an event and afterwards ended up in a pharmacy. I seized the opportunity to check my weight and check my BP for free. You never know. So some little things, if you checked and found out early, could save your life. And that is why I'm offering for you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They are offering you prostate screening for free, fertility screening for free. Their branches, thankfully, are many. Let's start with Accra. Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra de Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zema. You can pick up your phone and call them later this morning as well. The numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, and joining us this morning, he's a financial analyst from the other side of the world.
A man Wisdom with many names. Isaac Kofi Wisdom Dube.
Wisdom, good morning.
Good morning to you both. Then, two comments quickly. I think I agree with you. Not that I think, I agree with you that Sweetie is looking good in her colors. Then the second thing is that You just talked about maintenance on your body, and you don't sleep much. That goes back to you.
What an expose. Why are you doing this to me?
I just had to, right?
Anyway, that's why one of these days I'm going to take a bit of a break. I need it. I need it at this point. I need it at this point. Yeah. But anyway, wisdom, as we always do. Sweetie is here. Maybe we'll hear from him just about a minute and a half, and then we'll zoom right into the papers we have here this morning.
And good morning to Kweku Uzupepra. I know he's watching us and sending.
Yeah, he's sending messages. What was it I was saying about him yesterday? Oh, was it 2 days ago? The coffee thing.
Yes.
He's the coffee prefect in the
between some of them, they call it Edro. Edro or ho. I've heard them say that.
Hey, baby, okay.
Okay, so Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, you have about a minute to get into any topical issue that's on your mind.
Thank you so much, sweetie. You know, one of the things that I've been thinking about, I heard that Stevie Wonder has been visiting Ghana for some time now, and eventually he's become a bona fide Ghanaian citizen now. That is super awesome, and I'm happy for him. I think that Ghana is a very beautiful place, and personally, I consider it a travesty to trade it permanently for another nation. Most of the craziness that we see here in America and in other parts of the Western world, you don't see these things in Ghana. We are a peaceful nation, and it is safe for the most part. The food is organic and healthier than the food that we eat here in America. So if only we can pursue policies that will lead to, abundance of jobs and economic opportunities for our people, you will one day go to the UK or American embassy in Ghana, in Accra, and they will be asking you what they could do so you can visit their countries. They will practically be trying to convince you to visit. I mean, no one will be in a hurry or in a rush to relocate to any Western world if our people can find good paying jobs and have a fair shot at economic prosperity in the country. As for Steve Wonder, he's made his fortunes here, right, in the US, and now he's taking up Ghanaian citizenship. But it still tells you something that there is something about our nation, right, our motherland, that you cannot trade for anything else. Ghana is our home, and we should do more to attract Ghanaians who have relocated abroad, to return for same opportunities that are available to them overseas. It might sound delusional to say that, but it could be doable, right? And we should also continue to attract people who have their ancestral roots to Ghana, like Stevie Wonder. They should all come, right? So I think that let's have more educational programs. Let's have cultural events and celebrations like the Year of Return. And let's foster more collaboration between, for instance, the Black American communities and African communities through cultural exchange, and also organizing more trips to Ghana. There are many more people who would like to come to Ghana, and it's not just Stevie Wonder. But for now, Akwaba to Stevie Wonder.
Maybe just an add-on. Sometimes when we talk about other parts of the world, and Ghanaians are always going out in droves to other parts of the world. But it just reminded me, when I watched the Black Panther movie, Wakanda, the technological sophistication and everything, what that we had, I mean, not even in South Africa have I seen. It comes with a certain prestige, a certain, this is us. I don't need to go elsewhere to feel justified, to be economically stable and all of that. But as of now, and part of my interaction that will be airing today, you would see that people with the business acumen, moguls like Prince Amoabeng, feel there are certain things we can do there, but come back, right? Why do we have to have those systems where it must be a greener pasture thing? They say the grass is always greener
where they are watered. So
are we watering? That's the question.
And Benjamin, most people, when you interact with most Ghanaians who now want to travel, it's not because they originally wanted a life outside. It's just the circumstances that we find ourselves in are driving them away. Everybody wants to live a better life, if the foundation for our own home country is not giving us the chance to do that, then we might as well find it out.
I'm not being unpatriotic, but even...
Well, I am not neither, but...
companies are leaving, not individuals.
You know? But let's get into the newspapers. Starting with the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, Imani peddles falsehood, according to the EC. 177 million Ghana cedis for nurse trainee allowance. I will want to get into that story. Government releases 2 million Ghana cedis for kidney patients. Interesting. 70,000 smart tablets deployed to schools. Let's start with the story about government releasing 2 million.
Please don't forget the one about the kidney
CDs.
patients.
Yes, that's the very first one, because we've been talking about this dialysis crisis for a while. And I mean, I don't know about the statistics, but it looks like a lot of people need help, especially in this regard. So the story is on page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper, and it reads, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Dakosa Abuaji, has announced that the government will soon disburse, soon disburse 2 million Ghana cedis to assist in providing dialysis treatments for the needy. This move comes after an appeal by kidney patients for government intervention following an increment in the cost of dialysis at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The funds, which were approved by Parliament in March 2024, are intended to provide relief to those in need of dialysis treatment. As to whether or not Parliament indeed approved the increments from the 380 to 471, and
it's actually 491, 380 to 491.
Yeah.
And even at Kolebu, it's being subsidized. I hear, and I think it's good we mention as well, because yesterday I was encouraging corporate Ghana to also assist. I think it's the First Sky Group that has been subsidizing for them.
Yeah.
Actually, they were saying something like it's over 700 cedis.
Yes. You know,
just imagine it. People are struggling with 380.
It went all the way to 800 something, and there was a lot of calls and saying that we cannot afford this. People are dying, and then it said that it turned out that Parliament didn't even approve that figure. And so, the point I was trying to make is whether or not Parliament actually approved this new.
No, but they didn't. Yesterday, when I spoke to Kwabena Mintakando, he said they hadn't, and that some of these were happening when in fact there had been discussions and no concrete decisions had been taken on them. But
this money,
the basic point is, you go to other parts of the world and every hospital, even clinic level institutions, have dialysis machines. What's his name? Enoch has to come from Chibi to Accra once a week. Mind you, even the transportation, even his situation and the health and having to sit in a vehicle. He can't really work. And even when he gets work, another part of the problem, he is stigmatized. People feel because he has that, he can't, do anything. He's taking care of himself, taking care of his mother. He has to come from Chibi to Accra. Why is that?
When it comes to healthcare financing in this country, I think that there's so much more we can do. But Dr. Wizandogbe, what are your thoughts on this 2 million Ghana cedis that will be released soon for kidney patients?
Sweetie, I missed that on the news, but I'll say this. It's a very critical help that some Ghanaians and health agencies need desperately, right? You know, I think that the cost of healthcare, especially for specialized areas such as dialysis, these costs are quite high and frankly out of the reach of the average Ghanaian. I heard that sometimes folks even have to pay about 1,000 cedis per round of dialysis each week. You know, this could be a harsh financial reality for the average Ghanaian, who has to deal with these health issues. And it saddens me to say that if patients are required to pay full cost of their dialysis, quite a number of them they could lose their lives because they cannot afford it, right? How many people can afford 1,000 a week? So I hope and I pray for a world when folks don't have to die because of financial challenges to treat a disease. That is why I believe that the government has a role to play. Is it possible that we as a nation, we can step up the fight against corruption, right? Save enough from corrupt practices and invest more money in our healthcare facilities and equipment. It doesn't speak well of us as a nation to have a good number of our hospitals that are understaffed, right? Ill-equipped and lack the certain basic medications that they need to treat people. It's time for them to actually prioritize some of this as a nation.
All right. There's another...
And that, if I may add, is where sometimes I have problems. Those 2 gentlemen who came here
yesterday
are young men.
Yeah.
Yet you see a lot of young men becoming foot soldiers for our major political parties and defending the indefensible. And I'm not talking about one, I'm talking about all of them, right? Especially those that have governed in this Fourth Republic. You see young people defending them, but God forbid, if something like that happened to you, will those parties come through for you?
You should resound that.
Think about yourself, work for your life, and stop the party foot soldierism and the unnecessary. I mean, you see black and you pretend it is white just because. Anyway, let's get into it.
Anyway, let's do this story about the nurses trainee allowance. That's, that has been in arrears for some years now, months. That story, if I can just find it, yes, it's also on the page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper. And it says, in a move to address the long-standing issue of unpaid nursing trainee allowances, Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia has announced the release of 177 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Health. Speaking at a meeting with nurses and midwives in Accra, Dr. Bawumia stated that the funds will be transferred to the Ministry of Health today, adding that the ministry has been instructed to swiftly disburse the money to the accounts of the nurses trainee across the country. I'll put a pin in that, do another story, and then we add. So we're looking forward to seeing that money actually hits the account and is disbursed to the people who need it. Combating corruption and fueling growth together. Newmont supports Kolebu Teaching Hospital's Children Ward. If we appointed Coastal Authority CEO, let me do that. Nane Kuya Owusu, that story is on page 13 of the Daily Guide newspaper. Nane Kuya Owusu Efriye, immediate past Deputy Ghana Ambassador to China, has been appointed as the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Coastal Development Authority by President Akufo-Addo. The appointment takes effect from May 13, 2024, and is pending constitutional advice from the governing board of the authority following consultations with the Public Service Commission. The announcement came through. We don't need all that. As a newly appointed Deputy CEO, Nane Kuya Owusu Efriye is poised to play a key role in the strategic and operational functions of the Coastal Development Authority. Okay, some new appointments there. Dr. Adogbe, the nursing trainee allowance and then this new appointment, and then we can get to other papers.
When it comes to this allowance to the nurses, right, I think it's great that they've made funds available to be paid. It hasn't been paid yet, but I wonder why this is the situation with our government, where salaries and allowances of new employees, including these nurses and also national service personnel, why does it take time, right? Why does it take so long for them to actually pay these things out, these monies out? I think that these delays oftentimes it causes financial hardship for these employees, including these nurses. They may have dependents, financial obligations, right? And also living expenses that they need to be able to pay from their salaries. So I think that this delay can lead to difficulties in meeting their basic needs, and that may result in increased stress and anxiety and could affect them in how they discharge their responsibilities at work. And also, sweetie, if you think about it, right, it could also impact their morale and motivation. If you're working and you're not getting salaries, right, you have to wait and wait and wait. That really can demotivate you, and it could affect how you perform at work. So I think we should look at this, give it a long and a hard look, and come up with policies that can prevent this from happening.
All right. And then, Benjamin, thoughts? Right, so let's get into the new final newspaper quickly. Gonja King blesses Bawumia to be next president of Ghana. Mahama reveals AI-powered plan to combat galamsey. Okay. Former NPRA boss.
Why did you swallow when you got
Because I combat galamsey with AI.
Well, it's not an impossibility.
I mean, we are digitalizing everything. So
AI now is entering every field.
In fact,
even
let's
in
get into
surgery.
that story and quickly and see what
Let's get some details then.
Yeah. Mahama reveals AI-powered plan to combat galamsey. So, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, ex-President John Mahama, has unveiled a groundbreaking initiative to employ artificial intelligence in the fight against illegal small-scale mining, commonly known as galamsey. According to him, the proposed AI initiative aims to precisely identify and locate small-scale mining and galamsey operations, track the movement of excavators, geofence all concessions to ensure mining operations are not conducted in unapproved areas, including water bodies. He explained that the geofencing would ensure that mining activities do not encroach on unauthorized areas, particularly water bodies. If we can't do this ourselves, all the security personnel we have and have been deploying to these Galamsey sites, it is AI that's going to identify where the Galamsey operations are happening. Doctor?
There are what are supposed to be forest reserves where people are. I think when Nana Obuadie was here, I've forgotten how many days ago, talking about the cocoa sector and how Galamsey was messing up the sector. He made mention of one of the, he even mentioned Etiwa. Yeah. So practically everything is going, and it's not that we don't know it. Well, so I think here's the standpoint, and I am not surprised. In fact, it should be one of the ways we go. You know why? Because artificial intelligence is getting to the point where you can program something, maybe put it in a drone, and it is doing things that it would take maybe a human being a month or two to do in minutes or hours. So you do your programming maybe in a drone or something, and it works. For me, I don't care what. Anything to stem the tide of Galamsey is a good thing. But of course, my other problem though then comes to when politicians usually talk about these things, there's a cost factor to it. That is where the devil is. Because then they'll tell you, I am purchasing XYZ, and XYZ is coming at the cost of $5 million, $10 million. Sometimes you go and look in there, and we could have got it for a fraction of that. That's my only problem. But the concept, the idea is a good one. AI has taken over on many fronts. Have you seen, there's now ChatGPT 4.0.
That can teach you
and
the
Google
whole
is
thing.
also coming through with its own.
Benjamin,
So, it's our new reality.
It's not that AI cannot do this thing that he says it's meant to do. My point is that our problem? The problem is that the powers that be are the ones funding these activities. And you want AI to fix this?
No, you're
It's not that I don't understand that AI can't do this. He says he's going to combat Galamsey with AI. But our problem is not that we don't know how to fix the Galamsey activities. It's that we are refusing to actually attack this head on. But that's what I think. Dr. Adogbe, what are your thoughts?
So when it comes to using artificial intelligence, right, to fight Galamsey, I think it's very feasible, and it takes a better appreciation of the power of AI to understand that it can be deployed, to resolve so many of the challenges that humans, and for that matter, society faces. So I think that AI can be a powerful tool in the fight against Galamsey in Ghana. Think about it this way. I think that it will enable proactive monitoring of potential mining sites, right? Detection of any activities, and also the deployment of security agencies to ensure enforcement of the law. With the little that I know about AI, to my friend Ben's point, I can say that it is a tool that has several functionalities, right? I can analyze, satellite imagery and also remote sensing data to identify and monitor Galamsey activities.
But Dr.
I think that AI
we do know where these sites are. We know where they are. We know the people there. We know the security people have been deployed to these places, and they don't do anything. We hosted Nana Obuadie here a few days ago, and he was saying that the security people are now, his words, toothless bulls. They are there, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So, well, you finish your trail of thoughts. I'm just at a loss at how we know the problem.
And you have a good point. You have a good point, Sudi. Sometimes the problem is catching them in the act, right? Catching these operators in the act.
Okay.
I think that AI models can be taught or trained, to quickly identify any changes, in the cover of the land, the surface of the earth, right? And detect whether any mining equipment or infrastructure or mining setup is available at a particular location. So I think that the former president is correct in suggesting that AI can help in the fight to end this Galamsey menace in the nation. Also, Sudi, when it comes to data manipulation and analysis, right, I am very certain that AI has the capability to integrate and analyze huge amounts of data from several sources, including data from geological surveys and data from satellite imagery. And with machine learning, right, you can analyze patterns and anomalies of activities of these galamsey operators, which I believe can eventually help law enforcement to respond in real time and stop these operations of this illegal mining and to preserve our water bodies and also our natural resources. There are also various types of real-time alerts, right, and monitoring systems that are powered by AI. And I think that this can be used to analyze mining data at a really fast pace and also provide that real-time signals when illegal activities are detected in the potential mining site. So I think this is a very laudable idea.
I see the point you made there. Yeah, thank you. Benjamin.
Well, let me get into the Daily Graphic newspaper. It says, hold duty bearers accountable, journalists told at African Media Convention. It reminds me of that saying, you know, who was it? Was it Idi Amin that was touted as saying, oh, I can guarantee you freedom of speech. The only problem is freedom after speech. And that is the problem of a lot of African media. But then we will restore Galamsey lands, forests, Mahama says, so we've already taken a look at that. MTN calls for rethink of tax structure. And I remember just about a year and a half or two ago where there was this tussle between the GRA and the likes of MTN. A fintech summit highlights investment opportunities in Africa. On the back page, starlets in flying start in Wafu Zone B 20. They beat Cote d'Ivoire by 5-1. That was a thumping. And you can see there, someone I actually saw just last Friday, Laia Kingston. I met him at this eatery and actually said hi. He is in a jubilant mood. But we're grateful to the Black Starlets for dignifying Ghana. So let's get into the stories. African media have been urged to hold duty bearers accountable for their actions and inactions to promote good governance and uphold democratic principles on the continent rather than merely limiting themselves to telling stories. Quote, it is about nurturing, informing society and holding power to account. I want to stress that. Holding power to account. It is about shaping the future, about seeking balance, the safety of journalists, and having access to information. The director of the UNESCO Liaison Office to the African Union, Dr. Rita Bisunoth, actually said. She made the call at the opening of the third edition of the African Media Convention in Accra yesterday. But here in Ghana, you try to hold people to account. One of the most frustrating things. You try to hold people to account on behalf of the people, and sometimes the same people you are fighting for come and fight you. Doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Let me quickly take a look at a few other stories, and then we'll move from there. MTN calls for rethink of tax structure. So, telecommunications giant MTN has called for a rethink of the country's tax structure to allow for more investment in critical infrastructure to the mobile telephony industry. Taking its turn at the maiden 3i Africa Summit in Accra, the Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, highlighted the impact of high taxes on the mobile industry and urged policymakers to reconsider the levels of taxes in the sector. He also said, without the appropriate fiscal incentives, the funding needed to modernize and expand digital infrastructure into higher technologies such as the 5th generation or 5G, which made services more affordable and accessible to mobile internet, would not materialize. I think I heard recently about a place in Japan that is operating 6G. Yeah. So, I mean, we're always playing catch up in this part of the world. Let me just add this bit, or maybe no. Let me let you react, Wisdom, and then I'll go to the fintech bit. So journalists and holding leaders accountable, and then high taxes as per MTN. Thoughts?
But I think that all of you, I mean the media, you play a very crucial role in holding duty bearers or public officials accountable, you know, for their actions and inactions. I think that one way the media can contribute, right, and continue to hold our officials accountable is through investigative journalism, where you conduct that comprehensive investigation and reporting to uncover unethical behavior by officials, you know, corruption and other wrongdoing, And I'm talking about investigations such as what was done by the Fourth Estate about the whole SML saga. And I think that it is through investigative journalism that the whole matter came into the public domain, culminating in the termination of parts of the contract with SML, which will save the nation a good amount of money. So I think that by shining the light on such instances of possible corruption and wrongdoing, the media can hold officials accountable and bring attention to issues that may otherwise go unnoticed. And I also think that ensuring that the press is free and fair and independent in their reportage, I think it is also critical in holding officials accountable. And that is where the government has a role to play, right, to ensure that freedom of the press is protected and respected, so that those of you that are in the media can report without any intimidation or fear of retaliation. And that's why I think there should be a law dedicated to protecting journalists and also journalism. That is the thought that I have as you were reading through that. Right. And I also think that for the media to efficiently discharge its duty of holding officials accountable, I think that it is critical for them to have access to relevant information, right, and also data and other documents so that they can better scrutinize the actions of the officials. That is why I was hoping that His Excellency President Akufo-Addo would have granted the media request for the full SML audit report from KPMG. I think the media would have done a better job, scrutinizing the report and also ensuring that folks are held accountable. Now, another quick point I also want to make, and then we can move on, is I think that the media should continue to do more fact-checking, right, to ensure that the information that is put out there is accurate and reliable. I am very certain that it won't be too long before the media would dissect and make known to Ghanaians the true reason why the people of the South region were marginalized in the 2020 parliamentary elections. Some of us, right, we are reading that what Imani is putting out, what EC is putting out, but the role of the media is to dissect some of this, do this analysis, and provide a platform for people to better understand what is going on and hold officials accountable.
Let me just do this fintech story, then some international ones, and I'll wrap it up with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Fintech Summit highlights investment opportunities in Africa. It's about the same Maiden 3i Africa Summit, which showcased and stimulated Africa's fintech and digital potential, going down as one of the most successful gatherings on the continent. Financial technology, of course, one of the major ways of ensuring that Africa can make an impact. On the international front, Nigeria suspends cybersecurity levy, and Nigeria has decided to suspend the proposed cybersecurity levy on domestic money transfers.
AKA
on
levy.
Domestic money transfers. Information Minister Mohammed Idris announced during the implementation, saying that the implementation has been directed by the government to be put on hold. Here, the e-levy is still biting. Some people have suggested that maybe we should use funds from the e-levy to support patients with some chronic diseases like kidney disease. And South Africa braces for milestone election. Former Interior Minister of Gambia convicted in Switzerland. And on page 9, Slovakia PM Robert Fico wounded in shooting, the Slovakian Prime Minister. That's all I will do for today, as far as this paper is concerned. It's a wrap for me.
Ben, can I touch on the e-levy briefly, if we have time?
Yes, I think we have maybe a minute.
All right, so I think that digitization and cybersecurity levy, right, or any electronic levy for that matter, these don't always work hand in hand. So I think that Ghana can take some lessons from Nigeria's suspension of their cybersecurity levy, so we can also abolish our own e-levy. And let me focus my comments quickly on why I think Nigeria's cybersecurity levy suspension is the right call, and why I think that we also need to abolish the e-levy that we have. If we're trying to digitize the economy, which is definitely a great thing, you should make it easier for the citizens to leverage digital tools and platforms such as electronic funds transfer without having to pay much for it in taxes, right? You want to incentivize folks to use EFTs and not tax EFTs, which does the opposite of rapid expansion of digital transformation in the economy. This is why I think that e-levy should also be abolished, because electronic transfers are a key ingredient to modern financial transactions, and it's a crucial aspect to any digital economy.
Right.
Well, crucial point made there. It's always good having breakfast with you. I nearly said coffee, but that would be restricted to our channel manager, Kweku Owusu-Pepra. He's a lover of coffee. I think next time I go anywhere around the world, I'll look for special. Do you know there are some brands of coffee that are extremely expensive?
Yeah.
I think I read a long time ago, there's this one. It's grown on some blue something. I don't know whether it's Jamaica, but some of them are crazily expensive. Kweku, would you like some of that coffee? You let me know. He's been sending me messages out. I want to know whether he will like that kind of
something back
coffee.
From SA was called Just Coffee. Oh,
Just Coffee.
Was delicious.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I miss it.
You're a coffeepreneur, huh?
I
Coffeepreneur.
like coffee. I don't, not as much as Kweku. I just like coffee. I like I like the energy it gives me. I like the boost.
Okay.
You know,
so I guess for now, it has been made clear. If you want to impress my channel manager, get him some coffee. On that note, Wisdom, thank you so much for having breakfast with us. This segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just reach out to them at any of their branches, starting with Accra Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, there's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Siamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
The end
to chronic disease. Okay. You want to do this again? Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
The end to chronic disease, bringing us to the end of the newspaper review segment on the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi and Benjamin Akapo.
The way you gave me a side eye and Benjamin Akapo.
Bombastic side eye.
Anyway.
Up next is sports.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to the excerpts of that Wafu Zone B thumping of Côte d'Ivoire. Enjoy.
Good morning, it's time for sports and the AM show with me, Haruna Mubarak. We start at the Wafu B Cup of Nations, where Ghana's under-17 team, the Black Starlets, got off to a flying start by hammering Ivory Coast 5-1 in the opening match. The massive victory now sends Ghana to the top of Group A, putting them close to qualifying for the semi-finals. Razak Musbao has more in this report.
Joseph Nabi opened the scoring for the Black Starlets in the 27th minute of the game after Mark Agawa-Mensah sent in a delightful dunk over the top into the box, with the winger on hand to hit it on the first attempt to put Ghana ahead.
Ayamga, chance for Ghana, and it's a brilliant opening goal.
Nabi continued his scoring form moments later. This time, the number 11 shirted man had a clean strike after a failed clearance from a corner. His low effort beat the Côte d'Ivoire goalkeeper and found its way in the back of the net. Ghana carried a 2-goal lead into the break and looked comfortable from there. Immediately after the recess, Kingston's ball struck again. Godfred Sapon finished a sweet move from the side, which involved a sequence of passing. Nabi had squeezed the pass through for Sapon, who lifted the ball over the on-rushing goalkeeper. Côte d'Ivoire gave themselves a lifeline 2 minutes later to make it 3-1. However, Ghana's 3-goal advantage was restored. Harvey Bafa beat his marker to head in Benjamin Chivinyo's cross from the corner kick. In all of these, Ghana's goalkeeper, Michael Lama, had come up on big occasions to deny the Ivorians. Theophilus Ayamga should have made it 5 for the Black Starlets in the 75th minute of the game, but his weaker foot effort just went wide of the post. Just when Ghana looked to have stepped their foot off the pedal, Mark Agawa-Mensah netted a 5th to put the game beyond the reach of their counterpart. The win sends Ghana top of Group A, and the team will now face Benin in their next game come next week Tuesday.
Oh, so far, what I've seen so far is very marvelous. Seriously, because the time they started the match, I thought maybe they will walk away with the 3 points, but gradually they are playing the match. As I've seen that Coach Lai Kinsa have done a lot of good job. Seriously.
Yeah, in fact, it's been a while we saw. Oh! Sorry about that. But you know, it's been a while we saw a high-scoring Black Starlet team like this. To be honest, I don't remember the last time I saw a Ghanaian team, more so a Black Starlet team, scoring high number of goals like this. So I think it's a good start for the Black Starlets. They should keep it up.
He's doing a very great job. I know he has a very strong backroom staff that are really helping him in everything that he's doing. And I feel he connects well with the players. Looking at himself being an ex-player and also now having the opportunity to coach, he's doing very well. And I'm very proud of him.
The standard is very high. And I hope they will keep it, but there's some small lapses that they need to check on. If the Ivorians have taken their chances in the first 15 minutes, it will have been a different story. So I think the coaches have to work on that.
The boys are very good. They are a little good in terms of possessing and movement. That's number one. Number two, they have some combination of accuracy in ball, passes. That's number two. The coach has done a good job. They have good eye speed. They are locating before they send a pass. That's also good. Then they have to work more on speed with accurate and movement. You understand? If they meet any opponent with speed, the team will be worried. But I think the coach has done a good job.
It was Lai Kingston's first competitive match in charge of the Black Starlets. Now, despite the big win over Ivory Coast and praises from supporters, Lai was not fully satisfied. He remains determined to improve the way of play in Ghana's next encounter against Benin.
Throughout this preparation, every team that we've dominated play. Our last tournament in Russia, we lost against Russia. First 15 minutes, we were down 3-0, but we dominated play. Against, Serbia, we dominated play. Against Kazakhstan, we dominated play. Against our friendly game against Niger, we dominated play as well. Today's game, different opponent. Like I said, thumbs up to Ivory Coast. The Ivorians, they are a very good side. We wanted, and of course, most of my boys, first time playing such competition, home soil, I felt they were a little bit jittery. So with that, we have to manage and then try to take something out and then try and do our best. Sometimes we try to play 1, 2, 3 passes, but for me, as a technical person, I'm not satisfied with the way we play. We did not dominate play today. We just got the results, but hey, the up and coming games, this is our style, and you will see it in the way we play.
To the Ghana Premier League, the fortunes of Heart of Lions are improving, and they now have a chance to escape relegation. After starting the season poorly, the team has turned things around under coach Bashir Hayford, a 2-time Premier League winner. Here's more in this special report.
A challenging season, but one man stands as a beacon of hope for the club on the brink. Bashir Hayford, a seasoned tactician, steps in with one mission: to steer the Lions away from the jaws of relegation.
Every job goes with its, what do you call it? Maybe occupational hazard, you know. And as a coach, not just a coach, as an experienced coach, you need not to panic on any situation of a team. You must make sure you do your best. So when the offer came, many people advised me not to. And I said, why? It's an experienced coach who takes up a challenging job. It's very challenging, so let me take up and see how I can turn things around. And so I accepted it. I accepted it on the basis of trying to prove a point that no condition is totally distorted. You can resurrect some issues, you know. So I accepted the job and I came in.
Here comes the free kick.
Drilled in solidly, straight in front of the goalkeeper, dropped the ball in front of Alex Asso.
The club had gone 13 Premier League match days without a victory under then coach Salif Fatau as they languished at the bottom of the table. Management then had to part ways with Fatau, a trainer who had secured them promotion to the league for the first time since 2015. But the story changed upon the arrival of Bashir.
Looking at finding the shot from the distance. This will be it!
7 victories and 3 draws in 60 match days have now put them just a point away from escaping relegation.
Actually, it's the discipline aspect, because I mean, he comes and we all want to sacrifice and work for him, and the bond and the love and the unity and the oneness, I think it's been marvelous ever since he came, and we are doing our best to work for him, to make sure that we are in the season and the league. And next season, we might never know. We might do something different and, I mean, fight for maybe the league or other things that the clubs deserve. So we are just working hard. We're doing our best.
Coach Bashir Ford, very tactical coach, very good coach. He's teaching our child a lot. So we will be with him and we are fighting for him as a coach. He's our father, our grandfather, he's our everything. So we'll fight for him and fight for the team and ourselves.
However, the trainer is not getting carried away just yet.
Well, I think it's about 50%. What I'm expecting from them, I'm not getting all, but at the moment I think it's okay. Where you expect a win, you don't even get a draw. And where maybe you are not expecting this, and then so it's off and on. Off and on. So I would say that by the point build-up, it shows that we have improved. But for my target as a coach, the point I want them to reach, still I don't think they have reached there. Even just this morning I've told them that what I'm targeting, we have not, so we still have to fight and make sure we persevere so that we get what we want.
Bashir's track record speaks for itself. He has won 2 Ghana Premier League titles with Asante Kotoko and Ashanti Gold. The experienced gaffer also clinched House of Lions' first Galka Top 4 trophy in 2005. His performance so far has fostered a sense of optimism among supporters.
Our scoring or our attacking side, you can see first season our attacking, some matches we play football, what they call football, we play, but the goals are not coming because of the strikers and the bar. Now the new coach is in, you can see that our scoring, we are scoring every game, you can see we try to net. That's this thing, you can one. Then the point, even though we are still in the relegation zone, back the time that he was not around, you can see that a match we play, draw, lose, but now you can see that wins, draw. The lose are not coming like first. Right now I'm having a confidence. Lion, you can hear the name Akpinime Dwankwe. We never take last.
You are confident in him.
What makes you confident?
As you know, as he came, we are still going forward. Yes, so we the supporters, the fans, to support them, and we pray to push them forward.
For the technical team and playing body, work must continue. Wins are non-negotiable, and the ultimate goal is to move out of the danger zone with 5 games remaining in the season.
Yes, that is our target, that we want to make sure we move up and avoid relegation. That is our target. But to assure you that we are going to win all the matches, that one we leave it with God. But we are hoping that things will be all right for us.
Are you confident, like personally, that you can do something?
Oh yes, that is why I accepted the job.
If I look at the players, their mentality and what we're looking for now, I'm confident enough that we are going to achieve it. And if I look at the points, so first night it was open, but now it's closed. So I have the confidence that it depends on us, our mindset and everything. But I'm sure we with the mindset I'm having, the other guys, they're also having the same mindset. And if we're having the same mindset, we are going to achieve it. But I'm confident enough that we are going to, stay in the league. Yeah.
Hearts of Lions have a daunting path ahead. Their schedule includes fixtures against CAF Confederation Cup semi-finalist Dreams FC, defending champions of the Ghana Premier League, Midiama, and current league leaders, Samatex. These are tough matches. Yet, with Bashir Hayford at the helm, there is a shared belief that he will defy the odds and successfully lead the club out of the bottom three. Haruna Mubarak from the Alajo Park for Joy Sports.
The cry of a newborn baby brings immense joy. For mothers, it is a dream come true and the beginning of motherhood. Amidst the joy and excitement, there can be unexpected challenges. For some mothers, the days after delivery bring not only physical changes, but also emotional struggles that can be difficult to navigate.
I had heard about pregnancy, motherhood and all that stuff. You read about some of the things, but I don't think that anything adequately prepares you for what the journey will be like afterwards. So I went in, had a vaginal delivery, but then I also suffered an episiotomy because I had been in labor for 48 hours. So I was too tired to push properly, and so they decided to just create an incision. And that experience was very traumatic for me.
Ino Kwagrain is a mother of 3. In 2017, she welcomed her first child. Little did she know that the arrival of her bundle of joy would also sink her into the depths of what health professionals call postpartum depression.
That amount of pain that I was in, I think it sent me over the edge. That, and then the fact that I couldn't breastfeed immediately, because again at the time we were told as long as you have your baby, breast milk will be flowing and that's it. But it had been a couple of days and the breast milk was still not flowing. So that, and then I had to constantly put the baby on the breast, to be able to stimulate some breast milk. My baby at the time wasn't latching properly. I didn't have access to any lactation consultants or anyone to actually guide me on what to do. So just a lot of advice and hearsay from different people saying, oh, apply shea butter, oh, do this, do that. So I'll try all these things. It wasn't working, and it was so painful when he's latching. So I had the pain of the latch, from the latch, and then also I guess the emotional pain of not being able to breastfeed immediately. Then also the fact that I had the stitch.
The happiness of having a baby turns out to be a mirage for some mothers who drown in depression. Somehow, these mothers begin to feel a certain weird sense of inadequacy and a feeling that they are failing as mothers.
I remember at the time, my mother, God bless her, but she was on my ear about, try, you can do it. So someone is yelling, and that was it. So I started to sink into depression. And I didn't even notice that was what was happening. All I knew was that I wasn't happy, and I also knew I wasn't bonding with my baby properly. I was never one of those mothers that once I popped the baby, I smiled into my baby's face and then held him and rocked him. No, I was just happy to be done with that experience. The nurses came for him and I was so relieved. So I never really bonded with him the first few, maybe even weeks.
When a woman is pregnant, the placenta is what connects the baby to the mother. The placenta produces high levels of some hormone we call estrogen and progesterone. And these ones trigger the brain to produce some feel-good chemicals. One of them is called dopamine, another one is called serotonin. So these help the woman to cope with the stress of pregnancy. Okay, feel good, feel good, feel good.
So when she's delivered and the placenta separates and comes out, the level of estrogen and progesterone that trigger the feel-good things would drop. So the feel-good things have dropped. At the same time, she has a new baby, and the stress of taking care of the new baby goes up. So this is what explains it. But different people have different vulnerabilities.
Postpartum depression is a reality for many women, affecting roughly 4 in every 10 mothers. It is a complex and often misunderstood condition that can manifest in a variety of ways, from overwhelming sadness and anxiety to feelings of inadequacy and guilt.
Very dark thoughts, very dark thoughts. Like you start to, first of all, you at the beginning you don't like your baby. You know, you don't like your baby. You don't even want to be a mother. It's like, is this thing for me? And also, is this what the thing that is so hyped? This wasn't really living up to my expectations. Then also, it's like, you know, one other thing I wanted to mention was that I felt alone because I was one of the first to have a baby among my friend group. So none of them even understood what I was going through, and I didn't even want to explain it to them or tell them because I didn't think they would get it. So a lot of crying because I feel I'm alone. Even with my husband being around and all that, I still felt he wouldn't even understand it. I couldn't even explain it to him in words. And then he was also starting to get frustrated with me because at the time he said, you know, this is what you always wanted, now you have it, and then you're upset. Like, what is going on? And those questions were even pissing me off more.
The postpartum mental disorders or perinatal mental health problems, there are 4 main types. Okay, we have what we call the postpartum blues, where the woman after delivery, just a little bit of mood instability, she cries a little, she's just not sure what it's all about, but that clears within a few days. Then we have the postpartum anxiety. The woman is so anxious, she won't allow you to touch the baby, which also lasts 7 to 10 days, and then it goes away, just with a bit of reassurance. Then the commonest is the postpartum depression, okay, where the woman is low in energy, she's not happy, she just sits down, she's crying, and so psychologically she doesn't feel anything for the baby. So doesn't even want to breastfeed, doesn't want to even bring the baby close to her. And family people may think, oh, she's being unfriendly, or she's the only one who has given birth, but it's a problem. Okay. Then the worst is what we call the postpartum psychosis.
Postpartum illness can have serious implications for both the mother and the infant. It is crucial for families and healthcare providers to be vigilant and provide the needed care. For Eno, having her mother experience similar symptoms helped provide the needed support through these downtimes.
My mother actually noticed certain signs and said, I think you might be getting depressed. I think this looks like postpartum depression because I experienced it.
Some of the common risk factors include somebody who has a personal history or a family history of depression. Once you have that in your history, either you or your family, your risk goes up more than the average individual.
These perinatal mental health issues left unaddressed affect how the mother bonds with the baby. It affects lactation. They don't get milk. They won't breastfeed. And breast milk, breastfeeding is the single most important thing the babies need. It helps them to grow their immunity, their intellectual capability. It helps them to even regulate their feeding. But the woman with postpartum mental health problem is not able to breastfeed. Some actually say, no, don't bring the baby near me. I haven't given birth. No, I don't want to see the baby.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for, you know what to expect on a Thursday morning, AM exclusive. He's a business mogul. He has been there, done that. He's gone from boom to bust, and some boom again. He speaks his mind, and he's a former military officer. Have you caught on yet in respect of whom I'm speaking about? Well, if you haven't, he is Captain Prince Kofi Amoabeng, retired. I caught up with him and had an exciting conversation. Stay tuned for AM Exclusive up next. All day, another installment of AM Exclusive. My guest today actually needs no introduction. He's a man that we've all encountered in different ways, different facets of our lives. But for the sake of formalities, I shall introduce him. He's a business mogul. He's a statesman, as some would describe him. He's been there, done that, faced the rough tide of life. And today I've caught him chilling. Cool. He was just chewing groundnuts before we got here on air. If you've not guessed yet, I'm talking about Captain Prince Kofi Amoabeng, retired. He joins me today for a conversation. Thank you for joining me.
Did you have to talk about the groundnuts?
I had to bring in the groundnuts. I mean, it was so cool the way you took things easy. I see you take life very, very easy. You don't fuss about it. You don't stress about life.
No, if you know you've been blessed, then you only looking for how to return the blessing. So you don't fight hard. There's nothing for you to really fight for. It's a matter of living a life that depicts the appreciation of what your Creator has done for you.
Right.
Nowadays, I'm becoming like a pastor. When people say, I want to be an
Has there been any switch in that regard?
No.
I mean, you know, Lord Kenya, secular music at a point became... We've had those transitions. Is that your
I've
story?
always been a Christian. And my upbringing was in deep Christianhood. My grandmother, my mother. And I started going to church at the age of maybe 4.5, 5. And I wake up every morning and they take me to church and I would dance and I would be by the shuffle. And then, you know, Presby, when you go to church, by the time you finish church, everyone greets everybody. And to show that it's a new life. So really, I have been a Christian, but in my own way. So people say I don't go to church. I go to church. I go to church when there's a funeral or when there's a wedding I have to attend. And then I relate to my God the way I think I should.
So I'm going to push you a bit. Do you go to church at Easter, Christmas, New Year?
No.
You don't?
Those are the good days to play golf, incidentally.
That's an interesting sneak peek. There are so many matters we want to discuss with you, but let's start with some of what you've been up to. And you have this foundation you've started. You're impacting the lives of many young people. Tell us about it. What's the name of the foundation?
PK Amoabeng Leadership Foundation. And I started that foundation because if I don't sleep well in the night, the only thing I think about is the state of the state, as in the state of Ghana. And it's a story that I tell people that, you know, when I was growing up, my father told me that his father, whom I was named after, did not believe in independence for the black man, that blacks could not govern themselves. And when he was about to die, he called my dad and said, come and disprove what I'm saying, so I'll be waiting for you for your confirmation or otherwise. So when my father was going to die, he called me and said, Kofi, your grandfather said this, and I'm going to tell him that he was right, but I should wait for you, because by your time, Ghana would have changed. I've told my son the same as I sit here.
Wow.
Now, I don't want to just go and tell them this sad situation, but I want to tell them at least I have started something to change the narrative. So, to the Leadership Foundation, what I decided to do with my life, whatever is left of it, is to bring up young people with the right values and attitudes, and our vision is a revolutionized mindset for the African leader, because everything is about leadership. And if you don't have the right leadership, as we don't have, we shouldn't expect anything good to happen to us. Now, everybody, statesmen, leaders, all talk about the mindset. It's okay to talk to the youth about experiences and what they need to do and values. Some will take it, some may not take it, but when they see hardships in reality, that's their real life, it's difficult for them to say that they say we should do the right thing. So what I have done with the P.K. Amoabeng Leadership Foundation is to form P.K. Amoabeng scholars. I'm trying to create, not just tell them, but create the kind of leaders who can cause change in leadership positions. The thing is, do I have hope? Yes. It's like casting thy bread upon the waters. Just maybe we can get one of them who has been really revolutionary, and he's built a hospital, he connected the roads, he's created the neatest town in Ghana for sure. His kingdom, so to speak, which is really in the middle of nowhere. And he's built a fantastic first-class palace. He says the biggest palace in Africa, maybe. And he's built a hospital, he's connected the roads, he's created the neatest town in Ghana for sure.
That's massive.
Yes.
Maybe the president can learn a thing or two from him in terms of making a crowded, cleaner city.
A lot. Not a thing or two. And now his aim is to create the nicest town. And you go and see the effort he's putting. Kushia itself. So I took my scholars there, he invited us, and he had time for us. He spent over 3 hours in the morning sitting with us, sharing his experiences and what Ghana could become. Right. Hosted us for dinner and everything, and we're all overawed with his ideas, his experiences, the way he's down to earth, the way he respects and cares for his people and everybody for that matter. And those are the leaders that we have to pick up and let the youth associate with them and network with and everything. So the scholars, I'm trying to create leaders. Another way I look at it is that I'm trying to clone people like me who will look at things, not fear another human being, fear God by all means, respect everybody, be honest and have integrity at all times, be committed to serving people and so forth. Because really, this world is not about all the material things that are around. It's about what we can do to improve the world for us. And that is missing for most of us.
That's some fantastic work you're doing. But I'll ask you this. Ghana is 67. What is wrong with our leadership mindset? Initially, you were talking about values, attitudes that you want to inculcate in them. And you went on to suggest almost, you could clarify, that we didn't have leaders. Do we have leaders?
Of course we have leaders. We choose leaders, and they are leaders. But we choose our own kind. And we've unfortunately arrived at a situation where we have what we call democracy, which is supposed to be the best form of governance. And we are practicing it. But this democracy makes me feel hopeless about this whole situation.
Why?
It will never give us a good leader. Never.
This democracy?
Yeah.
As we have it in
will not
Ghana.
give us a leader that can change Ghana. Because the issue is, by the time the leader gets into position, he's been corrupted already. He owes too much money, too much favors. He owes the party, he owes individuals. And then our constitution also makes him too powerful to really satisfy all these people that he owes. For example, the president appoints or approves of about 6,000 appointments. And he has to make sure that all his people get
DCs, MCs, SOEs,
ambassadors,
IGP,
board members, CEOs, And so the way of awarding the position to people too is that it's about who has served me or who can serve me. I mean, somebody wins election primary, so he's going to parliament and he gets a CEO appointment. That's quite recent. So you ask yourself.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you have problems with that though?
I have problems with it. I have problems with a whole lot of appointments. I mean, I don't want to be mentioning names, but people get appointed not because they know the subject, not because they have the expertise and experience, it's because they are serving the powers that be. So it's not about merit, actually it's about mediocrity. And these guys go, because they know they don't know, then they become pompous and cover their shortcomings and things, and disrespect people. So talking about leadership, we have a long, that's why I'm trying to create the kind of leaders who will say that we need to put systems in place. We need to respect everybody. And you work with systems, not with some powerful chiefs, not with powerful pastors, not with family and friends, because we're talking about Ghana. So let the systems work. And it's not difficult if the systems are working to be a leader. Because take Mark Zuckerberg. Then, as you sit here, you should be a better leader than him. He only found a product or service that we enjoyed, but the systems were there to support him. Yeah. So he's a multi-billionaire CEO. But you find something which we want, we will cut you down. And you can't become the kind of leader that potentially you can become.
They know channel. They know you're not one.
To know when you know. So it's a tall order, but at least I'll jibe at it and see what happens.
If you could change one thing about Ghana today, 67 years old, but in this Fourth Republic now, what would it be?
I'll change the president.
You change the president?
Yep.
Wow.
And probably I'll put Kushia Chief as president.
I was about to ask you, do we have the alternatives?
Oh, we do have a few people, but I see they've been cowed one per once, and we cry or what effect. There are few people who are like me. I thrive in controversy. I don't care what people do. I want to do the right thing that I believe is right.
Right.
And take it or leave it. I mean, as we speak, I'm in court too, so I shouldn't be sitting here, shooting my mouth, and oh yeah, this, oh yeah, that. But it is what it is. You can't take it away from me. You know.
Let's talk about the state of the nation. One of the things everyone has been talking about, because it impacts everybody, doomsday, power outages. In fact, when we came here, and I'll not mention where we are, we realized the plant or the generator was on, making a lot of noise. When I was coming here from work, we had our systems on because the power was off. Then you have the situation where the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, because you are into business, the Ghana Publishers Association, all of them are complaining about power outages, then the cost of doing business. As a business mogul, when you look at that and look at what is happening, what do you see? Where are we getting it wrong?
I think it cuts across all sectors, and the government is very short of delivering what the people want, or the people put them there for. I was talking about Kushia. To go to Kushia is about 217 kilometers. It will take you about 5 hours, if you are lucky. If Kaswa decides to misbehave, it will take you 7 hours, 8 hours for 200-kilometer distance. So we failed in roads. We failed in hospitals, we failed in education, we failed in health, we failed...
Let me take you on 2 points. Roads, you mentioned roads and education.
Everything.
We have free SHS, which has been highly touted. Roads, even in recent times, again, we've been told that no administration has done the sort of work this administration has done when it comes to roads. How can you be saying this?
Please.
Aren't you seeing the roads? Aren't you seeing the impact on education?
Are you seeing the roads is the question I should ask you. All roads that are under construction have come to a halt. Why? Because the government has come to say it can't pay foreign financiers, it can't even pay the local ones, and they have to take haircut and armpit cut and all sorts of things. So you find that all roads are at a standstill, or they're going at a very slow pace, because we can't raise the money. And a whole lot of things account for it. Cocoa prices have gone down because the volumes have gone down. That's the main source of foreign exchange. Bank of Ghana is owing, what, 600 and something billion. When they call the figure, you even don't understand. And, you know, the king,
over 60 billion, if I'm right.
The king, Asogli king, Togbe Afedi, made a statement which captures exactly the mess in which we have, with Bank of Ghana expenses so balloon that they have to keep interest rates high and so on and so forth. And the corruption that we see and feel and the disrespect and the arrogance of those in power. I mean, it made Ghana not a nice place to be, but this is the only land that we have. So we have to do our best about it.
In the midst of all of that, we want to attract foreign direct investment, we want to attract businesses, and you do know, I don't need to list all of them, the Glovos, the Jumias, the Lipton Teas, many of them, about 8 of them, have upped and left.
It's reached 8?
Oh, yes.
I knew only about 6.
There are 8 of them. I could actually give you a full list. And they are citing different metrics in our economy.
Right.
Can we stem the tide of that?
It all boils down to mismanagement of the economy. Mismanagement in all sorts. If I should stick to my sector as in the finance sector, there was a cleansing of the financial sector. And we used 25 billion government figures. That was about $6 billion. And after using $6 billion to cleanse the banking system, we were left in a situation where we had to go and beg IMF for $3 billion. I mean, really, who does that? And I bet that the government could have done the cleansing in any form they wanted with about half that amount at best. So it's raw mismanagement.
So you think even in cleansing, even in the banking sector cleanup, they messed up. A mess.
There's a bit of hatred, jealousies, not investigating clearly, and so on and so forth. But I don't want to talk about that because it would be like, okay, so his bank was taken and therefore he's bitter. You don't do things like that. When banks are having problems, you investigate and bail them out. And they thrive and survive and come back and pay the loans that they're supposed to pay. And it happened in the US in 2008 with bigger banks. Yeah. And we did a process, undertook a process which cleared the indigenous banks, so giving the country for the foreign banks. Who does that? A lot of things I can't even explain. So I ask myself, maybe I'm a bit crazy, because how can anybody think that way about his own country? And the country is virtually in the hands of foreigners. And we're losing our cocoa farms due to galamsey, which is not being checked. For goodness sake. The president is the commander-in-chief of armed forces, is head of the police, it's got, what do you call it, GRE to collect our money for them, we've got customs to check everything. So you have the money, you have the men, you have the ammunition, you have the control, you're commander-in-chief, and nothing can happen. I tell you, I can't believe it. That we can't stop galamsey. Who said we can't stop galamsey? We have a whole armed forces at this, with helicopters and drones and everything. And you can't stop galamsey?
Maybe the fight is bigger than that because it's also economic, mind you. And the president, mind you, at a point, so, I think this was in 2017, he put his presidency on the line. If 7 years down the road, he's not been able to tame the menace of galamsey, what does that tell you? Maybe galamsey is bigger than the president?
But he made too many promises. Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa. Ghana will be whatever and so on and so forth. The tourist attraction. None of them has materialized. And we now still have leaders who are also promising or over-promising similar things, which won't happen or can't happen. I mean, someone says we should look at the rail from Accra to Lagos. Oh, for goodness sake. Since Atame's time and Kufuor's time, we only are able to do Accra to Tema, which breaks down. The one that we wanted to launch or something like that, somebody put a truck on the way, probably had an accident. The promises, you know, it's as if we don't even have sense. So I don't listen to Ghana news nowadays. I'll probably take the graphic or something, flip through to see the news items that are not insulting, and then I'll close it and put the rest down. Because the thing they tell you, it tells you that you are stupid. So it's raw mismanagement. And to cause a change, it's not difficult. It comes from one person, the leader. The leader makes sure the systems are working, and he leads by example. Let me give a simple example. We're all irritated about why we don't keep time and this and that. If the president should decide that he is going to keep to time for all his appointments and sanction his immediate subordinates if they are late, like keep them out of meetings, it will not take 2 weeks for Ghanaians to realize that time is important. But I see presidents who are late 2 hours. The state is taking care of you completely. You have your convoy with sirens when you are going for appointment, and we have to pack because you are the president, go on time. to take decisions that will affect our lives. And then you are late 2 hours. And when you are late 2 hours, even no apology. It simply means they don't respect us, period. And it's sad. So,
with these sorts of promises that are being made now, you said maybe it's in vogue because the more you promise,
the more
the more
promise
people
and bribe the people and take the power and forget about the promises. It's as simple as that. So
how about our role on the other end? You know, you said at some point that we get the leaders we deserve, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How about the rest of us who also, whether we think differently or not, feed into this system? Because I've also heard people say, when even it's political primaries, even recently in Ejiso, people will tell you openly, you know, your cocoa season new because game over, so we must get a pound of flesh now. How about us?
Well, that's why we're sitting here. Us, we are in the minority, like you are certainly in the minority, forget it. You know? Because the majority of the people, they have myopic minds, they are probably illiterate, they certainly are not discerning. Because anybody who would take even 1,000 cedis and sell his or her future, can you understand the person? So if I take 1,000 now, for the next 4 years, I'm going to be exploited. My children won't have the right schooling, we won't get the right hospitals, you won't get the right rules to work on. But you still will accept, for most of them, 20 cedis, not even 1,000. So and democracy is by representation. So if the majority will go that way, then you have to follow. It's as simple as that.
In terms of, just to wrap on the economic front, resuscitating our economic life, it's not impossible, but how will we get there? Look at the metrics. Inflation has reached a 20-plus year high. You look at the currency.
It was coming from 50-something. And the funny thing about
that's when it hits almost 54%. Thereabouts.
The funny thing that people don't understand about inflation is, if prices go up by 50% and you say inflation is 50%, when you say it's dropped to 40%, it means on top of the 50% which didn't go away, there's another 40% on the whole lot. So it is not like, oh, we've done well, inflation is dropped from 50 to 40. What are you talking about? It doesn't take out the 50%. It's 40% on top of the 150%. That's what it means. And politicians will want to brag about it, that we brought inflation down from whatever to whatever. Really? And you haven't increased salaries, people's earning power and everything, and they are still supposed to survive? It's not possible.
So it's 20-something% now. You have the local currency, the cedi. As for that, it's almost 15.
Yep.
I think as of yesterday it was 14.8, thereabouts, 14.9 to the American greenback. The pound is around 17. Then you look at the other metrics, the cost of living. Just today, you know, I mean, we had some interactions on spare parts prices and all of that. It's crazy. It's a killer. But is there a way of turning things around and coming back to economic viability to the point where not just the metrics, the macroeconomics, but the microeconomics, the person down there can feel the impact?
Okay, there's my take on it. If you are in a bad state as we are, what you do is assess your situation critically. In this case, the resources you have and the potential that you have, and try and raise financing to actually bring out this potential that you have. Unfortunately, and I want to stop here, the loans that we've taken, which is unheard of, we don't even see what we use them for. If we use them to probably build solid roads, you can say that with time, foodstuffs, movement of people will pay for it.
The roads will pay for themselves.
Yeah, but exactly. But when you don't see what the monies have been used for, then it means you're going to a deeper pit. And so the solution, if you ask me, take prudent loans, strategic loans, or strategic funding. It doesn't all have to be loans. Some of it, you can actually, we have BOTs and BOs and all sorts of things. Construct a road, let them actually operate it and pay for it for some time, and the road becomes yours. It's all there. It's nothing new. So look at your situation and look at the kind of funding which you can employ to take you out of the rut we are in. Because you certainly need help. But when you go for those funding, and the fundings are not put to the use to which they're supposed to do, you want to construct roads. You take a percentage of the money from the contractor. The contractor is owing the banks, you don't pay them on time. So they decide that they have to take shortcuts, because that's the only reasonable way they can go to be able to survive. So the roads will last 2 seasons, 2 rainy seasons, and the roads are gone. Roads which are supposed to probably last about 20 years. So it means you're throwing the money away. But it can't, because 1, we probably don't negotiate the loans properly. 2, the loans come in and I think there's too much corruption and cutbacks and all sort of things. So we are shortchanged as in what really gets here. And then when it comes to deploying it, if you are not one of us, we won't give you the contract. So the contract doesn't even go to people who are seasoned, know how to construct properly, because they won't pay the amount of money that they want.
Right.
So they give it to some contractor of theirs who will give them, sometimes they ask for 20%, if not more. When you've done that, the contractor is now looking at and saying that, I'll deploy maybe 40% of the monies I'm getting, so I can satisfy you people, because you want so much money from me. So the money is really, the funding that we get, don't go to serve the people, or don't go into the business and production that you're supposed to provide. And. You can sit there the whole day and narrate all these things, and it's not changing. You find people go into positions, and within 3, 4, 5 months, they are millionaires. They have 4 or 5 cars. They have big houses. The system is not asking them any questions. And you have the right to ask, because it's all right to make money. It's all right to have material things. But the state has provided the basic infrastructure for you to thrive to make those money. And therefore, you must pay tax.
Right.
But if people are not paying taxes and just flaunting the money, and the government is looking on, not asking any questions.
I mean, in other jurisdictions, if you use an Aston Martin when you've not, immediately eyes will be on you.
Exactly.
They will check on you. How did you get in?
Exactly.
How did you acquire an Aston Martin? What mechanisms do you use? Did you use the right methods? Did you pay tax on it?
It's easy.
But here, I guess it's different strokes for different folks. But talking about leadership and major projects, one just came to mind. A lot of people have spoken about it, especially as the NPP administration under President Kofi Amoabeng is nearing an end. The National Cathedral. What do you think of it?
It's the 419. It's the 419.
Really?
Of course. How can they put state money, the whatever funding that they said they had, into putting that pit there? But you want me to have enemies in the government?
I'm not trying to hate enemies for you. It's fine to mind, because you're talking about roads and other projects, and I just thought, okay, so what we've sunk into that, what if we used it elsewhere?
That's why I'm saying it's 419. 419 is when they dupe you of your money, you don't get anything out of it. So let's leave it at 419.
But do you think there's a use we could put that to in the future?
I don't. I think we have to consult architects and things like that. Maybe they could put up some edifice and use whatever is there as a basement or something. But I don't know. I think
some have proposed we could use it as a university, others as a health, extension of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Some say a governance institution to teach young people leadership and all that. I mean, that feeds into what you're doing, right?
As a matter of fact, it's better we don't even talk about that pit.
It's better we don't talk about that pit. You refer to it as a pit. But there's also a problem that some Ghanaians have with people like you. Do you know what the problem is?
I know people can't even stand me. I'm sure they'll be sorry that this man, Professor High, and so on and so forth. But I'm here because, and we're talking about this, because I love Ghanaians, and I think we shouldn't be here. But anyway, let me listen to you. What do they...
There is that. But there's also the other bit where people feel, if you know all this, and you are this capable, especially as someone who led such a big organization, you were what? CEO of the Year twice? Was it twice?
6 years, 3 times.
3 times.
Most respected CEO.
Most respected CEO. Yeah. 3 times. people like you can do great things. You have done great things, you can. And people will ask, okay, so you talk about the politicians. Why don't you want to do something, take the initiative, and try to lead?
Thank you. So I started a company, good story, with 3 people in Kantamanto, no money virtually. And we grew it to become a bank with conglomerates. We were in South Africa, we were in India, not India, Nigeria. We had UT Live, we had UT Property, we had UT Logistics, a great story. Take Kofi Amoabeng out of it. Now, so we hit a bad patch with the banking because we had problems. We go to Bank of Ghana, they try to help. This new government comes, it says, no, we're not bailing you out, cut. Now, what most people don't know is that when I saw the problems that were coming in the bank, I told my board that, listen, I think I've stayed too long, and let's bring a new person. They even opposed it initially. I said, no. I'm over 60, and I've stayed too long. So almost 2 years before the bank was closed down, I was not the CEO of UT Bank.
You've mentioned that before.
Right. How many people in Ghana would say that what I created and I can be the CEO until it collapses under me? I said, no, please. For the sake of investors, the sake of workers, the sake of the state and everything, I am backing out. And I backed out. Now, when the bank went down, what did they do? They killed the bank for whatever reason. They killed the bank for. I have some idea, but we can't discuss it all, so I won't touch it. They came for me, the guy who resigned 2 years ago. And during that 2 years, my board never complained about anything. Bank of Ghana never complained about anything. 2 years. But they came for me, went to Yoko, and now I've been in court for 4 years. If it's not because I am Kofi Amoabeng the way I am, they've gagged you for life. They have spoiled your reputation, and therefore they must be feeling very happy. So, to your question, I think I've even tried from the coffin which has not been nailed to come out to say, listen, I'm doing something about leadership, and I'm sitting with you trying to talk about the problems. Most people would just say, let me go to my court and live my small life, because whatever I built is being destroyed and my reputation is even being destroyed. But I know within me that I still have something that the country might make use of. That is why I'm venturing out. And I'm sure if you hate me, you won't be too happy about that. But that's up to you. I don't care. I want to do what is good for the system. So, to your people who think maybe I haven't done enough, it's not easy. Have they thought of how I'm surviving and where I'm even getting funding to build this Kofi Amoabeng leadership and Kofi Amoabeng scholars? That's the bit I can do. I don't have state money. The state even doesn't want me in the system. That's what it looks like. But I'm still striving. And I tell you, I'm blessed. I'm doing the bit that I can.
Do you feel pained?
No,
Do you feel as though you had been robbed of your potential?
No.
Your potential. Do you feel you've been robbed of it in a way?
Let me put it this way. Ghana has been robbed of what I could do.
Ghana has been robbed of what you
I
could have done.
You see, the thing is, boy from Ukran to me, raising to a point where I'm most suspicious, national award, you name it, all sort of things, Johnny Walker and all that. I think I don't have anything to prove. It's beyond what I thought I could ever do. But with the acquisition of the knowledge and the expertise, it didn't come just for the heck of it. What do you do with it for the generation after you? That's what I'm trying to find out. But then what do you do with it when you're carrying all these problems of court and stigma? Because I'm in court for criminal offense, the state versus Prince Kofi Amoabeng. And it's going for 4 years. And I'm saying no. I can die in a moment. If I'm waiting for the court action to end, I may not be able to give back anything. I'll just die. So at least I'm venturing out and doing the things that I think the youth will need and give them a bit of hope. Because now the problem is, all the youth, when I go to them and I'm talking, the first question or eventual question that they will ask is that, would you advise them to stay or go? And it's a painful question because the Ghana that I saw when I was a kid, we're not giving them even a tenth of it. In fact, we're giving them a negative of it. But what I tell them is that, one, I believe there's a creator, and the creator has put you in Ghana for whatever reason. So his plan for you is to change or do something about Ghana. So when you leave, I think you're not being too fair to the creator, unless you're going to study and come back. But that's one side, that's whether you have faith or not. The second thing is, you can be of relevance where there are problems. And of course, Ghana now, we're surrounded by all sorts of problems. So you, as a young person, look for something in the problems to change. That's point 2. Point 3 is, if you leave, you will get a decent job, most likely, feed yourself, buy a car on credit, furnish everything on credit.
Live your
when
whole
you're coming
life on
on
credit.
holidays, you use your credit card to buy a ticket. When you go by, you're going to do double shift to pay for it. So really, your relevance is limited. But in Ghana, you can actually be of relevance and create an impact. You have a chance. So don't throw it away. The final thing I tell them is that I cannot stand living abroad because I'm a 4th-class citizen. You come out of your apartment or whatever, even a kid, white kid sees you and he looks at you like he's seen some animal brother. I can't. And I mean, there was something in Turkey, and then they came and they said, Americans out first, and then Europeans out, then Indians and Arabs out. And they left a poor black man there. And so let's stay here and try and change. It's not easy. I was tempted to leave when I left the army in 1982. But after looking around, I said, I will stay. And look at what I was able to build because I stayed. If I had left and I had a job in Salisbury, somewhere in UK, Salisbury, as a bookkeeper, I would have been lost there. But now I'm pensioning, probably married some white old lady, and that would have been my fate. So let them stay. But it's not easy. You can't tell everybody to stay because everybody's has got a different tolerance level. And some people cannot let the center hold, and therefore they may have to go. But we have to give them hope for their own country.
Before we get to another crucial point, I just want to find out from you. Mentioning the military brought to mind, I think I recall in your book how you spoke about nearly being poisoned at a point way back then. Are there people today that you feel wish you were dead?
Wish I was dead?
Yes, dead.
That Kofi Amoabeng?
Yeah.
I don't even care. I don't think about those things. Honestly, I don't. I don't think negative things. I don't at all. I don't hate anybody.
But do some people, through their actions or inactions, show that they wish you were not even here?
I won't even see it. I won't. I mean, people are supposed to be my enemies or don't like me or I hear stories about them. I still see them, hi Charlotte, saying, it's only 3 seconds and I'm gone. And you're out of my life. You think I have to sit and let that eat me up? No, no, no. Ben, listen, I don't bear grudges. I don't have pain. I always feel blessed. I thank my God. I do things that I think will make God proud of me.
And you play golf?
I play golf. I play golf a lot.
Let's talk about this year. It's a crucial one in our electoral life. We're going to the polls again. And already we've seen some not too pleasant signs. I'm sure you saw recently in Ejiso some of what we saw and a few other things I probably shouldn't mention. But even the limited voter registration exercise.
Yep.
People toting guns, machetes, voter registration, young people. What do you anticipate?
I'm scared. I'm scared of it. But I don't waste my time fearing what's going to happen in the future. I live in the present. But I'm scared in the sense that I think even though it's not difficult to see that NPP has messed up badly and disappointed Ghanaians, they have a lot of money, stolen or whatever. They have a lot of it. And therefore, they will use it to try to stay in power. And that is where my fear comes in, because I think if there's an obvious win for NDC and the NPP are using their money and influence to rig and do all sorts of things, things might explode. Talking about the machetes and guns that people are toting. So we have to pray that for whatever reason, the elections go smoothly somehow, and we're able to choose a new leader. And whether it's MPP or NDC, it is what we have. It's better to have peace than anything else. Because our situation, we say, is bad. It's better than being at war.
Definitely.
Exactly. So let's thank God for his mercies. Let's try and pray for things to calm down. But certainly, we're going through a lot of hardships. And the change is not going to be very smooth. I mean, it's not as if NPP will give it to NDC. NDC will have to fight for it. And already you see, like, what is happening with the Jews and the rest. It is scary, so we need to pray and hope for the best. But it shouldn't put us in a state of paralysis, as in we don't know what to do, or we're not going to work hard. And we have to work hard for it.
There are two things that come to mind from there. The rhetoric from both of our major parties. The president has sounded like the only person I practically will be handing over to is my VP, the flag bearer of his party. Then you hear the chairman of the NDC also say the MPP should gear up to hand over power peacefully in their own interest. It's almost like jabs, a game of darts. You throw, I throw.
I forgot one.
And
Brian Champon said, never. Yeah. Would never.
That makes for very cold comfort, doesn't it?
That's why I'm saying it's scary. But I'm sure, at the end of the day, that's why when you have faith in your Creator, it makes life easier. At the end of the day, this world is for the Creator. And He will let what will happen, happen. So we shouldn't be too scared as to what is going to happen. It will happen, not with God's blessing aside, but it means I will take it that if it happens, then that's the way He wants it. And therefore, we take it like that.
So your faith is He will order things, no matter how they turn out, He'll order it.
As He wishes.
As He wishes.
His will always be done. And you know, talking about that, one thing that reminds me is that we are suffering now because we are bad people.
Ghanaians are suffering now because we are bad people.
Generally, we are bad people. So when you are generally bad, I don't think God will give you a leader who will come and just liberate you. He says,
Oh, really?
But the Israelis, it took over 400 years before He built them out and took them out.
That's what it's like. We're generally bad people.
Oh, yeah.
What makes the Ghanaian generally
We are
bad?
evil. I tell you, so many instances. We don't love ourselves. We hate each other, petty jealousies. I have a lot of examples. I see it happening every day. I never understand. Listen, give two friends. Let me say, there are two, we have to use that as an example. There are two beggars. I won't say where they are, because otherwise you'll see them. And they've been there for 30, 40 years. One day I gave one of them, I had 20 cedis to give to them, and they become my friends. I know their names and everything. So I gave 20 cedis to one of them. I said, Unia. And I checked the mirror, and he was hiding the 20 cedis from that guy that he's been sitting there for the past 30 years begging. What kind of mindset is that? You didn't work for it. You know, both of you are my friends. I tell you that you and your brother, you still hid it from him. So you think if he does that, then how can you blame the president or those in power? It's the same life. Here, we are evil, we don't love ourselves, we are jealous, and I was explaining to people that, listen, we must understand who we are as Africans before we try and find solutions. Because time will not allow, all I'll tell you is that the African is capable of excelling in life because we go outside and we excel.
Right.
Now, the only reason why we excel is due to two things. One, we get out of our toxic environment. And by toxic environment, I mean environment where decisions and appointments and whatever are taken because somebody is my brother, he's my friend, he's a family member, he's my tribe, that's nepotism and all that. And also influenced by where the person worships, who his chiefs are, and which party he belongs to. That's a very toxic environment because the systems don't work. Now the Ghanaian or the African moves out of that toxic system and goes into a system where things work. Don't park a double yellow line. Your fine is maybe 50 cedis. Even the king will not park there. And under those circumstances where the system is working, then you see the potential of the African. So really, the prescription for us is harsh application of the systems. Harsh.
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 Where harsh means
harsh
what exactly?
means what is your arbitra? And you are not looking. You are not looking who, and no one can influence you. I mean, really, I sacked my brother at some point.
You sacked?
Yeah. I was working with him, and I had to sack him.
As in you?
At the UT.
Under him, you sacked him?
Yeah. And then my Busiapening came. A lot of people came, but my Busiapening came. I looked and I said, listen, I think it's better that you take me out of the Busia because I can't get him back. Then I looked and I said, listen, the money I'm giving you now, do you know that if this guy works in the company, when you come here, I'll be broke, or you will spoil the company and I can't give you money. So why do you want me to employ him? And it's about merit, it's about sanctioning. But what do we have? Interference from our chiefs, interference from our pastors, interference from family and friends, interference from politicians. So we can't let the system work. So the system they don't exist in a vacuum. As soon as you kick out the good system, the bad system comes in. And we've got a bad system taking over what is the right system. So somebody has money in their homes or whatever, and the president says, oh, yeah, it's okay. Why even express an opinion about it? And you know you are the president. Don't say anything. Let the systems work. But we don't. And that's why we have the problem. But if the African is governed by harsh systems and no consideration, no interference, I tell you, it won't take even 6 months for everybody to see that we are on the right track.
Just to dwell briefly on the electoral year, what are your expectations of our electoral commission? I'm sure you've heard of the trade-offs from time to time and the accusations, but also the good work they are doing. What are your expectations of
I haven't bothered to really look at the work of the EC, but my fears, I'm a finance guy, my fears is that if the cedi to the dollar is now 50 to the dollar and we are just about getting to election, and the records are there, every time when we go to election, there's a huge devaluation of the cedi, or the cedi depreciates against the dollar. So I wouldn't be surprised if the cedi by the end of the year is hovering around 18, 20.
18?
Yeah.
20?
Unless there's serious interference.
Did you say 20?
Yes.
20 cedis to the dollar?
We are 15 in May, and we are heading towards election.
And of course, there will be that time where the MNCs will repatriate their funds. It'll hamper this, the spending that comes with elections. And your forecast is that if all of those come to bear, we could go that high? Exactly.
And I'm not someone who's noted for wrong predictions. So as I said, of course the government will try to put some interventions. You see, the problem with the cedi and the dollar is we are depending on imports too much. It's as simple as that. And our exports are going down. Now even cocoa exports are going down. And people are leaving the farms and things like that. And the Gamse money is most of it we don't even see. So under those circumstances, you can never have a currency that is strong. It will never happen. And when people talk about the evolution of the cedi and the depreciation of the cedi, at my age, I've seen the cedi, not even when I was a kid. I was an army officer at the time, retired. In 1983, it was 2.75 old cedis to a dollar.
Well, you could even come to the Fourth Republic. There was a time when it was almost 1-to-1, when we redenominated
no, forget about that 1-to-1.
Our currency under Kufuor.
That's a gimmick. Listen, so if you take the redenomination off, it means from 83 to now, it's gone from 2.75 to a dollar to 150,000 to a dollar. Can you put a mind to it? That's what it is. So it will always, it will always go down because we don't have the structures and infrastructure and the plans and the strategy to address it holistically.
But even talking about that holistic approach, just briefly on that, the international system itself, and even pegging currencies to the dollar and all of that, is it not hugely skewed against economies like ours?
I think you use a favorable word, as in what they're doing to us. Because anytime we go to IMF and World Bank, Social Adjustment Program, the two things that they do is sell off your companies. First thing is the state companies. Private companies, they can't say sell off. But why wouldn't they advise them to close down a company like UT Bank, which is helping Ghanaians to build their company and things like that? So it's not in their interest. And the precision is always sell off companies and devalue your currency, which makes our goods cheaper. And that's always the prescription. And our governments always swallow it. So unless we look into ourselves and take pragmatic action to reduce, initially it should be harsh. I would say that reduce imports or cut imports, certain things shouldn't even be imported at all. Because in our homes, I want to eat a jollof, but I'm in Nisika. Some of our a friend is saying, Kofi Amoabeng, no medi. When I have money, I'll eat my jollof. So why is it that we're being forced under WTO and all sort of things to import things that we cannot pay for? Right. I don't get it. I mean, as a simple person, I simply don't get it. And our governments always agree and they can't take positive action. I will tell WTO, whoever, me need a more imported bill because me need sika. Me tend to come around and me import with the nedi. Now, such a simple action, what will be the effect? Local rice price will go up. People will now go into rice production aggressively. Because the price is high, some people cannot afford rice, so they will go for plantain, go for cassava, go for cocoyam. The price will go up. People will go to the farm. Do you see it? It is not. I don't know why we don't apply the knowledge we have and the common sense that we have. Maybe I rather don't have the knowledge and common sense. Maybe. I'm not saying I know it all, but when I don't sleep, it's just the way Ghana is going.
No, what you're saying is very practical economics, and countries that have made it started exactly from there. You can look at China. They looked inward before looking outward. But I'm curious about something. There's also word on the street. For a long time, people have said, Kofi Amoabeng, after the UT episode, he must be broke. Everything has gone down. He's probably I've even heard people, I'll tell you today, saying that you probably now have to sponge off people to eat. What is the reality? Also clarify for me. Some say the night before the UT episode, the shutdown, you spoke to former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta.
He called me, yeah.
You spoke to him?
Yeah, but not about the bank.
But not about the bank?
No.
He said nothing about it?
No.
And the next day they were shutting you down?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your relationship like with him?
No, he doesn't want to see me, so I don't see him.
He doesn't want to see you?
No.
Why?
Well, I want to see him. Initially, I wanted to see him, and I said, Onia, what's happening? I don't understand. And, this is the time I need my brother to help and things. At one point, he said his PA should give me his number so that when I need him, I'll call the PA. Certainly, he didn't want to see me. I mean, you don't have to stretch it. But for those who are saying I'm broke, is it any of their business? I'm broke as so what? Crowdfunding, they're already. Nonsense. I don't have time for those people. But I think when you do good and you are clear in your mind, somehow God will take care of you. I've never been in a dire situation and things like that. In fact, initially, some of my friends thought I would commit suicide. I said, Madam, this world is very sweet, pal. I'm going to live here, and I'm praying to God that I get a longer life and see the end of all these things that are happening. Because God used me to a very good level. I impacted people's lives. And then He's changed His plan. So I should disappoint Him. I said, no. When I pray, I ask God, please, what is next? Because certainly you must have something to let me go through this. And there's something to that, people who say they have faith, they don't even understand their faith. The biggest test, who God gave it to? His own son. Then somebody disappointed him. Oh, no, they would have disappointed him. So he gave it his own son. That's why he knew. Even his son was an obre. So when you have all these, what do you call it, tribulations or whatever, or downturn and all those things, it's up to you to stand firm, because God is sending a message, sending lessons around, and you must stand firm to let people learn from it and share it. But if someone says that, so they say, cry here, I don't know what he wants. Or perfume. You know, it's like when I was in my big house before, and when I left the bank and I realized that things were not going right, I sold the big house and moved into an apartment. And somebody came and said,
Are you referencing the one in Roman Ridge?
Yeah, Roman Ridge.
Right.
So someone came, a friend, they said, Kofi, no, this one I can't sell. If you sell, they say you are broke. I said, who will say? He said, well, they. I said, who and who? He said, I said, you know, Mr. Jimmy, sir. Of course I'm broke, and I don't want to live here. It's too expensive to live here. And I don't even fit into this place, because it's too big. And I moved, and it's my life. And I don't care what anybody is saying. If you want to bring me money, and you are saying that, oh, you are not broke, so I won't send it, then I'll tell you maybe whether I'm broke, therefore bring the money or not. But you don't have anything to add to my life, and you say, well, broke, comfort, so what? Of course, I'm in a situation where God is great, because I'm paying legal fees, I have to take care of myself, I take care of my grandchildren and things like that. So it's been good. And can't ask for more. It's all in God's time.
All in God's time. Before I take your tips for survival in these times, I think a brain like yours would be able to. These are hard times, and you've been there, done that. But there's also this, just in about a minute, this LGBTQI bill and all the conversations about it. In simple terms, what do you make of it? Are we just wasting our time talking about the unnecessary, or is it something that really deserves our attention?
Sam George is my friend, and I know where he's coming from. I think personally, personally, I don't mind what people want to do with their lives and in their own private areas. I think the anger or all these things are coming to the fore because they want to tell us that is even better than the natural form of existence. That is where it's required that people take a stand and fight it, because it's affecting the nucleus family and the control over the kids and so on and so forth. So if you prefer something that I can't stand, it's your choice.
Right.
But don't come and tell me that if you don't come out, we will even give you aid. I mean, for goodness, what I'm talking about. So then take it, let me die. For me to take that, what I don't want, leave me to die. So my position is that I don't have anything against it. I don't at all. But if they should keep it to themselves.
Okay. Let's talk about your tips for survival, especially the very young people who would be watching this, who want to walk in your shoes someday.
They'll suffer.
No pain, no gain. Your tips.
I get this question about resilience and things. I guess you're talking about the same thing. Number one, believe, have faith. Believe in something. Because you see, anything that is created, anything that exists must have been created. I don't believe Big Bang and all those things. No, I think it's who are. But then the question is, who created? You don't know. But once it exists, it has been created. Now, the only reason why anything or anybody will create something is because he expects that creation to better things. So if you have a problem, you create something and say, I'll probably use this to solve the problem. So we've all been put in this world, and we are on a mission. And the mission is to make the world a better place. That's why the Creator put us here, to make His creation better. So find it and do it right and make the world a better place. That's the first thing. It makes you God-fearing, and therefore you can accept situations and say, maybe this is what God wants, and what do I do out of this?
Right.
So you are not too mad at things. Certainly you won't commit suicide. You can have the wherewithal to stand challenges because you know that there's a God who has a purpose for you and will take you out when he wants you to go out, not when somebody wants to take you out. So the first thing is have faith in God and in creation. The second thing is do not be defined by material things. You know, you need material things, worldly things to survive and to lead seemingly a better life. So it's good to have money. It's good to have maybe properties, cars, a house. It's good to fall in love. It's good to have children. But really, they're all worldly things. And as we all know, you came without those things and you die without those things. But you need them whilst you're trying to impact the world positively for life to be meaningful and for you not to suffer too much. But a lot of people get defined by these worldly things to the point that somebody's love or wife or girlfriend dies and their life is virtually ended. I sold somebody's house and he told me that if I sold that house, he would die. I said, then prepare to die unless you bring my money. And don't laugh. And I sold the house. And he died. So I said, this guy was a prophet and I was joking with him like that. He died. You know, so...
This is a serious matter, you...
As a fact. Okay. So because...
So the person took a loan and...
So because he said, if I sell the property, if he doesn't... he wasn't paying, if I sell the property, he would die. I should say, then don't die, take the property and don't pay the money. I went by the system. If you don't pay, we have your collateral. It will be sold. The money is put back for the depositors. Then you say, if you sell it, I will die. So I told him, I said, prepare to die, unless you bring my money. And he didn't bring the money, and we sold. And he died. Let me repeat. And I said, the guy was a prophet. I should have taken him more seriously. Anyway, so do not be defined by material things. I see politicians, so-called rich people, having a lot of houses, a lot of cars. Some of the cars, I don't even see the sense in riding them around. If you go and buy a car, that's about this from the road, with all the ramps here. I mean, really, you could do something to impact this world with those monies and not show off as a property that you have. You don't need that much to lead a decent life, right? My life now, people will say that, so after all this, why are you now struggling, even trying to travel with people and trying to build a leadership foundation and things like that? I want my life to be meaningful and I want to die empty. Whatever I have acquired in this world, it should come out before I die. I don't want to die with all sort of things within me that I didn't share. You know. So going back, have a great faith. Don't let material things define you. And have great values. Love people. And have humility. Because, you know, then, this world, we are about 8 billion. Ghana, we are about 35 million. You are only 1 over 8 billion. Can you do that math? So in other words, you are 0. It's as simple as that. You ain't worth anything. So what are you trying to prove? Be humble and love people and make sure that your presence here impacts on people's life. And that's all you should look at. Fear your God. Don't get some material things. Definitely get it. But when you get it, it's not to show off that I'm this and I had this, because you leave it behind. But get it and use it to impact the world positively. I mean, in America, somebody donated $1 billion to pay for medical fees that were outstanding or something like that. $1 billion, just give it out. Look at the impact. She worked so hard, earned the money, and said, I'll use it to help these people. But here, what do we use the money for? We steal it. The worst thing, we even take it out of our country to put in other people's countries. What have we done, Ghana?
Well, it's been so insightful. Sometimes if you want to contemplate Ghana, you will not understand. But
really nice, any day.
It's been a great pleasure interacting with you today. Thank you for welcoming us into your space. And thank you for the pearls of wisdom that you've shared with us today. This has been my interaction with, I told you, he needs no introduction, and I love how he frees his mind. I don't know whether he will accept to be called a business mogul now, maybe even a philanthropist, but definitely a leader, Captain, Prince, Kofi Amoabeng retired. This has been AM Exclusive with me, Benjamin Capt. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back from that riveting conversation with Captain Kofi Amoabeng, speaking to Benjamin and shooting some straight bullets, not stray, straight on. And just to reiterate some of the things he said, I mean, his final words, that have crazy faith and don't let material things move you. But still here on the AM show, the conversations continue. But before I tell you what our next belt of conversation is about, let me tell you first about the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And what does it mean? The Fourth Industrial Revolution is saying that you should join the global and local leaders to address the impact of technology at the first ever Industry Engagement Forum 2024 by Industry Immersion Africa in collaboration with the MasterCard Foundation Ghana and the Ministry of Education through the National Service Scheme. Be part of this groundbreaking immersive experience. The two-day event will serve as a pivotal platform, fostering dialogue and collaboration in a bid to bridge the gap between industry and academia, empower STEM graduates across Africa, and combat youth unemployment. The theme for this year is Industry Driving AI and 4IR in Africa. Collaborative pathway for digital transformation in Ghana. The date is Wednesday, 22nd of May and Thursday, 23rd of May, 2024 rather. And the time is 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. each day. The venue is UPSC Auditorium right here in Accra. Now, for more, you can visit www.iiafrica.org for more information or to register. Their media partners, of course, Joy FM, Joy News, and myjoyonline.com. Just to give you, set the pace for the conversation we're about to have now, because right here in the studio with me are the very people I just told you about. So let's turn our focus now to the Industry Engagement Forum, this two-day event that is, focused on bridging the gap between industry and academia. In the studio with me this morning is David Atipo, the Chief Executive Officer of Industry Immersion Africa, and Mark Herdeen, the Strategic Advisor of Industry Immersion Africa. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How are we feeling?
We're great. We're great. And you?
I'm good. We've been doing that announcement, LPM, for a while, and every time I keep thinking to myself, this initiative is beautiful because it's not enough to just have knowledge about STEM. How do you put it to use? And if you're going to put it to use, do you know the industry? Exactly. So I think what you're doing is admirable. But just to start the conversation, David, tell me a bit about your organization, Immersion Africa. What do you do?
Thank you very much, Sweetie, and thank you to all your viewers. It's a real pleasure to be here. So as you rightly said, my name is Dr. David Atipo. Okay. I'm the CEO of Industry Immersion Africa. The organization was founded in partnership with the European School of Management and Technology in Berlin, which is the #1 business school in Germany. And the idea was that, I am a STEM graduate, so I'm a mathematician by training, did mathematics at Legon, and then went on to the University of Cape Town to do a PhD. But, as every young graduate, when you do mathematics, everybody thinks you're going to be a teacher. I mean, that's by default, right? The challenge here is that the Fourth Industrial Revolution and the Digital Revolution is here, right? And the people who can actually impact industry are those with the digital skills and the mathematical skills that can help to solve the problems of tomorrow. So when we partnered with ESMT Berlin, the idea was that we were going to help many young STEM graduates, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics students, to understand business, because the only part that we were lacking was the business acumen. So if we gave them a business training on top of the digital skills that we add to it, then they can be very relevant for the industry. So this is the mandate of iAfrica. So iAfrica's mandate is essentially to go into Africa and try and then transform and enhance employability of many young STEM.
The concept is very well captured in the title, Industry Immersion Africa.
Exactly.
I like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And the idea is the immersive process.
Right.
In Ghana, when you're growing up, the guys who do very well as tradesmen came from trading families. And that immersing that they got from home is what has actually made them who they are. Okay. So the same concept of immersion is what we're doing. So we take them into the companies for them to understand what it means to solve problems for the companies. And that's what it's like.
Let me bring Mark into the conversation at this point. You're a strategic advisor at II Africa. And now we understand what this is, what your objectives are. But when it comes to the industry engagement forum itself, I would like you to shed more light about the event itself and the objectives you hope to achieve at the end of this 2-day event.
Thank you so much, and good morning to you and your viewers as well. Interestingly, we were on your show a year ago, and at that stage we were launching our Ghana program, and it's called the Ghana 1000 program, and we had entered into an agreement with the National Service to work with them on their national internships. And we agreed that we would take 1,000 graduates through our program last year, providing them with the skills and then taking them into their internships. And we've successfully done that. So 1,000 students in our first year, and our intention is to do 2,000 this year.
Okay.
But for it to be successful, we need the participation of industry. We can provide the bridge to industry for the students and the graduates, which we have done, but now we need to bring industry and help them understand what the talents can deliver in the marketplace. And that's why we are holding the Industry Engagement Forum, to showcase those talents with industry.
So these 1,000 students who've already been immersed in industry, what does their life look like now? Mark, still on Mark.
Well, it's changed their lives. As David started off, you know, mathematicians, when you hear about a mathematician or a STEM graduate, you get a little nervous about what their role in the company might be.
You want to hear a secret? I don't do so well with math.
I don't.
That's why I'm here.
Okay. And I think that is an issue. You know, so corporates see a STEM graduate, they aren't an accountant and they aren't on the marketing side, so they're not sure where they should go.
Right.
But the importance of data analytics and providing business intelligence to the companies, particularly with the digital economy, is becoming so important. So they all actually have a meaningful role in industry, but we need to share with industry how that role will benefit their companies.
Okay. Dr. Tipo, who is invited? And why Ghana in the first place? This is Africa. You can go anywhere. You could go to Nigeria. Why Ghana? And then who is invited?
I think maybe I can say this, Mark. I think I'm biased. I'm Ghanaian.
Yes.
So maybe that's why we brought it to Ghana. But even more so, it's just beyond that. For iAfrica, we like to prove a point. We want to showcase that if I'm bringing a talent to you, I've really trained a talent. So the reason why we chose Ghana was because we are also launching at the event a new innovation, which is a new QR coding system that we have built with our team. And the idea is that this QR coding system can allow us to be able to go into the marketplace, to be able to connect. As you might know, the vice president, launched last year, a couple of years ago actually, the QR system. And that is something that's amazing. However, what we have brought is that we have taken our Ghanaian Edinkra codes and we've transformed how a QR code looks like to become very unique and identical for Ghanaians only.
That's what you're seeing on your screen right now.
Exactly, that's what you're seeing on your screen. And there's nothing like this anywhere else in the world. Then the reason we're doing that is because we want Ghanaians to connect to innovation. So when you're talking about the fact that a young graduate can come to work for you, say enjoy, and then you want to see how many people are actually listening in to us now, how many of them actually tuned in and are actually going to be able to listen to the next adverts they are going to do, and how can you then bill the person who is advertising properly because you understand the demographics of the people who are tuning in for this particular show. And that's a data analytics job, right? So news agencies can have these people, banks can have these people, technology companies, telcos and so on. They can all have these people because the impact of STEM in industry is endless and everybody can have one. Imagine this as an example. Every company has Excel. Everybody has Excel data, right? But a lot of people struggle to get, insights from that Excel data. So as a very basic value proposition, what we did was that we gave these students how to just build a dashboard. So that when you come, you say, oh, well, last week I spoke about this particular item, and this was the number of people that actually listened to the item, and so on and so forth. But you can see it at just a glance. And then your CEO can also see it, and everybody can see it. So the information that is going through the network alone can become very valuable to everybody.
So on the ground, this is the work that these 1,000 students are doing?
Yes.
Computing data,
yes,
interpreting data,
exactly,
and using that data to better the organization that they find themselves in.
Exactly.
You haven't told me yet who is invited, and then I'll
go
back to Mark.
We're definitely inviting all local industries to attend.
Okay.
The event is hoping to bring together 300 local companies who are going to now interact with...
Big number, 300.
Yes, we are looking at 300. We've also invited 20 top international companies to also attend, as well as this year, the Princess of York, Princess Beatrice, is actually opening the session for us virtually. So we're very excited about the event. We've invited the government as well, so everybody is excited about the potential of getting many, many young graduates into employment at the end of the year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So if you're interested in attending this program, how do you get on board? How do you participate in
So you can register online through the website, iiafrica.org.
Okay.
And then when you're at the event, we will be using these QR codes that we've devised to actually register you online. So
is there any kind of pruning process? Are you vetting the registrants, or once you register, you can attend?
If you're a corporate, we want you to attend.
Okay.
So there's no vetting process as such. We really have the auditorium, and we are ready for the capability of a large attendance.
Yeah.
And we are providing lunch and breakfast for everyone to attend. So it's a very inclusive, and we really want to see industry turnout. And that's what we're excited about.
The number of young people who might be interested in this program and attend, what mindset would you say that they should come into that auditorium with when they come in on Wednesday and Thursday next week?
I think it's important for them to show their skills.
Okay.
It really is a case of connecting again socially between corporates and individuals or graduates who have crossed the bridge with these technical skills. And they have to show companies their showcase of what they can present. So it's important that they arrive with their best suit on, so to speak, and be ready to actually show us what their skills are.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm just curious, out of this 1,000 students, how many of them are women, females? Do you have the data for that?
Yes.
How many of them are women?
46% of them are women. We were
That's
really hoping to
impressive.
take the number much higher than that. So, for the 2,000 that we are going to be opening applications to this year, we're encouraging a lot more women to apply. We're really looking forward to having up to 70% of them being women. It's a real ambition for us because, women are really underrepresented within the, the space when it comes to STEM graduates, globally it's 30%. In Ghana, it's around 25 to 30%. So we're very excited for that. We are also working with, again, the National Service and the Ghana Disability Association. This year, we trained 17 of them who were, physically disabled individuals. And we're really, really excited because we're going to showcase how disabled people can actually also be a part of this, digital transformation that we are trying to have in Ghana.
So my final question would be, before we can invite our audience, I'll give you each a chance to talk to our audience directly. Must attendees have any kind of STEM background, mathematical background? Let's say someone who read general arts or the liberal arts courses. Can you attend? Is there a chance that you can move from just the liberal arts and be immersed in such a STEM-prone environment and succeed?
Yeah, so one thing that we are doing at iAfrica is that we want to be very inclusive.
Okay.
Whereas we are saying that it's a STEM, employability program, one thing that is certain is that everybody can gain the digital skills that they need for the workplace.
Okay.
Because the digital skills, we need it, whether we like it or not. So people can actually, come across the bridge with us and gain those skills so that they can be very attractive for the companies to employ.
So there's a chance to cross over. If you're watching and you're thinking, I don't have any mathematical background or STEM background, there's a chance to cross over. They're well equipped to help you do that. Yeah. Mark, what do you have to say to our thousands of audience watching
I think
right
what is so special about the program and my representation on the team from our iAfrica office in Cape Town is that this is a international collaboration. We have very strong links into the Ghana education system, and we have support of government, but equally we have very strong international partners. So we are bringing the best of the international digital skills into Ghana, but really using the Ghana infrastructure and the wonderful talents here. Youth employment is our drive, and the blend of international skills and the Ghana infrastructure and the wonderful talents here means the program can only be a success.
Okay, it means the program can only be a success. Dr. Atipo, what more do you want to add to this?
For me, I am really grateful that we can partner with Joy to do this. I think that, when we started a journey a couple of years ago, we came on Joy, and the Joy team were very receptive to us. And we promised that we'll come back with something bigger, and we have. So we're really excited that we could come back and still, deliver a program at this scale. In the next 5 years, we're hoping to do 10,000 in Ghana. So we're really, really excited about this innovation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. So that's it about the Industry Engagement Forum happening next week. That is the 22nd and 23rd of May 2024. You don't want to miss it. It's an opportunity to be abreast of this rapidly changing technological landscape that we find ourselves in. My guest was Dr. David Atipo, that's the Chief Executive Officer of Industry Immersion Africa. They're spearheading this initiative. And Mark Herdeen, the Strategic Advisor of Industry Immersion Africa. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having us on your show.
All right.
Thank you so much.
But there's still more to come. We are not done yet. You want to stay updated, stay with us. But before I go, I still want to tell you something. I'm giving information that you don't want to miss. So the UPSA Law School, under the distinguished patronage of His Excellency John Ejikunkufo, the former President of the Republic of Ghana, is pleased to invite you to the Open for Business, the AFCFTA, that is the Africa Trade and Free Continental Trade Area, and Innovation Conference. So the conference is designed to provide a critical and independent platform for discussion of the new trade pact under the AfTA and trade in Africa, and undertake a situational review of the adoption and implementation of this AfTA since 2021. And in the process, we'll be examining the challenges confronting the smooth takeoff of the regime. The details of the conference are as follows. The date is the 16th and 17th of May 2024. It starts at 9 a.m. GMT to 4 p.m. GMT each day. The venue is the Kofi Amoabeng Auditorium at the UPSA campus. So visit the social media platforms of the UPSA Law School for information on how to participate in the conference, or simply call 024-534-7946 for more information. There's still more to come. We'll be right back with more on the AM show. Keep watching.
The cry of a newborn baby brings immense joy. For mothers, it is a dream come true and the beginning of motherhood. Amidst the joy and excitement, there can be unexpected challenges. For some mothers, the days after delivery bring not only physical changes, but also emotional struggles that can be difficult to navigate.
I had heard about pregnancy, motherhood, and all that stuff. You read about some of the things, but I don't think that anything adequately prepares you for what the journey will be like afterwards. So I went in, had a vaginal delivery, but then I also suffered an episiotomy because I had been in labor for 48 hours. So I was too tired to push properly, and so they decided to just create an incision. And that experience was very traumatic for me.
Inokwa Grain is a mother of 3. In 2017, she welcomed her first child. Little did she know that the arrival of her bundle of joy would also sink her into the depths of what health professionals call postpartum depression.
That amount of pain that I was in, I think it sent me over the edge. that, and then the fact that I couldn't breastfeed immediately, because again at the time we were told as long as you have your baby, breast milk will be flowing and that's it. But it had been a couple of days and the breast milk was still not flowing. So that, and then I had to constantly put the baby on the breast, to be able to stimulate some breast milk. My baby at the time wasn't latching properly. I didn't have access to any lactation consultants or anyone to actually guide me on what to do. So just a lot of advice and hearsay from different people saying, oh, apply shea butter, oh, do this, do that. So I'll try all these things. It wasn't working, and it was so painful when he's latching. So I had the pain of the latch, and then also I guess like the emotional pain of not being able to breastfeed immediately. Then also the fact that I had the stitch.
The happiness of having a baby turns out to be a mirage for some mothers who drown in depression. Somehow, these mothers begin to feel a certain weird sense of inadequacy and a feeling that they are failing as mothers.
I remember at the time my mother, God bless her, but she was on my ear about, try, you can do it. So someone is like yelling, and that was it. So I started to sink into depression. And I didn't even notice that was what was happening. All I knew was that I wasn't happy, and I also knew I wasn't bonding with my baby properly. I was never one of those mothers that once I popped the baby, I smiled into my baby's face and then held him and rocked him. No, I was just happy to be done with that experience. The nurses came for him, and I was so relieved. So I never really bonded with him the first few, maybe even weeks.
When a woman is pregnant, the placenta is what connects the baby to the mother. The placenta produces high levels of some hormone we call estrogen and progesterone. And these ones trigger the brain to produce some feel-good chemicals. One of them is called dopamine, another one is called serotonin. So these help the woman to cope with the stress of pregnancy. Okay, feel good, feel good, feel good. So when she's delivered and the placenta separates and comes out, the level of estrogen and progesterone that trigger the feel-good things would drop. So the feel-good things have dropped. At the same time, she has a new baby, and the stress of taking care of the new baby goes up. So this is what explains it. But different people have different vulnerabilities.
Postpartum depression is a reality for many women, affecting roughly 4 in every 10 mothers. It is a complex and often misunderstood condition that can manifest in a variety of ways, from overwhelming sadness and anxiety to feelings of inadequacy and guilt.
Very dark thoughts, very, very dark thoughts. Like you start to, first of all, you at the beginning you don't like your baby. You don't like your baby. You don't even want to be a mother. It's like, is this thing for me? And also, is this what the thing that is so hyped? This wasn't really living up to my expectations. Then also, it's like, one other thing I wanted to mention was that I felt alone because I was one of the first to have a baby among my friend group. So none of them even understood what I was going through, and I didn't even want to explain it to them or tell them because I didn't think they'll get it. So a lot of crying because I feel I'm alone. Even with my husband being around and all that, I still felt he wouldn't even understand it. I couldn't even explain it to him in words. And then he was also starting to get frustrated with me because at the time he said, this is what you always wanted, now you have it, and then you're upset. Like, what is going on? And those questions were even pissing me off more.
The postpartum mental disorders or perinatal mental health problems, there are 4 main types. Okay, we have what we call the postpartum blues, where the woman after delivery, just a little bit of mood instability, she cries a little, she's just not sure what it's all about, but that clears within a few days. Then we have the postpartum anxiety. The woman is so anxious, she won't allow you to touch the baby, which also lasts 7 to 10 days, and then it goes away, just with a bit of reassurance. Then the commonest is the postpartum depression. Okay, when the woman is low in energy, she's not happy, she just sits down, she's crying, and so psychologically she doesn't feel anything for the baby. so doesn't even want to breastfeed, doesn't want to even bring the baby close to her. And family people may think, oh, she's being unfriendly, or she's the only one who has given birth, but it's a problem. Okay. Then the worst is what we call the postpartum psychosis.
Postpartum illness can have serious implications for both the mother and the infant. It is crucial for families and healthcare providers to be vigilant and provide the needed care. For Eno, having her mother experience similar symptoms helped provide the needed support through these downtimes.
My mother actually noticed certain signs and said, I think you might be getting depressed. I think this looks like postpartum depression because I experienced it.
Some of the common risk factors include somebody who has a personal history or a family history of depression. Once you have that in your history, either you or your family, your risk goes up more than the average individual.
These perinatal mental health issues left unaddressed affect how the mother bonds with the baby. It affects lactation. They don't get milk. They won't breastfeed. And breast milk breastfeeding is the single most important thing the babies need. It helps them to grow their immunity, their intellectual capability. It helps them to even regulate their feeding. But the woman with postpartum mental health problem is not able to breastfeed. Some actually say, no, don't bring the baby near me. I haven't given birth. No, I don't want to see the baby. Just because we don't screen to detect these things early enough and put interventions in place to take care of them.
The risk factors of mental illness can vary from hormonal changes to lack of support and a history of mental health issues.
People generally going through a lot of psychosocial stresses. When we talk about psychosocial stresses, I mean finances is a psychosocial stressor. Marital problems, if you are married, is a psychosocial. Even work, your concerns about work. Am I going to lose my job? How much maternity leave am I entitled to? Will I be replaced if I go? So all these are psychosocial stresses that can trigger it.
Dealing with postpartum depression involves a combination of self-care strategies, seeking professional help, building a support network, and making lifestyle adjustments. Mothers seeking help should see it as a sign of strength and not weakness. Postpartum mental depression is treatable, and with the right support and resources, affected mothers can enjoy a fulfilling motherhood journey.
There's treatments for women who have any postpartum mental illness at all, and by extension anybody with a mental illness. So the first thing is identifying that this person has a problem. So midwives, the gynecologists, as you imagine, that's where the person will give birth. So they are usually the first people to recognize that something is going on. Or family members. Usually when somebody is coming to deliver, somebody will come and live with them, their mother, their sister, their aunt, an experienced person usually. So that person has an idea of how a new mother behaves.
At the beginning, when I was working out, it was just, I had a little trampoline in the house. And it was just simple things like just jumping on the trampoline. When we are in the living room or something like that, I can just put the trampoline there, wherever the baby is, and just be jumping on it and see. It did me a lot of good because there was something about my heart pumping and things like that that I felt rejuvenated, and like I felt like I had the best of energy, and I felt like I was becoming myself again.
Postpartum depression is a common but often overlooked condition affecting many new mothers. Just like any mental illness, stigma surrounding postpartum depression is prevalent in Ghanaian society, making it difficult for mothers to openly discuss their feelings or seek professional help.
In Ghana, there isn't a lot of information and a lot of knowledge when it comes to postpartum depression. People just say, oh, it's normal. What you were going through, we all went through it. People usually dismiss women when they say they experience something like that.
There's a lot of stigma in the community. The patients we spoke to who have lived experiences, they say friends abandoned them. One respondent in the interview said, my friends stopped coming to me. Initially, I thought they were just giving me time to heal, but later I heard that they were telling others to be careful about me because I am mentally sick, and if they get too close to me, they will get it. Another narrative said, my husband's mother told the son not to even have intimacy with me because I was mad and I was going to get to transfer it to him. Another person said, people were gossiping about me. Everybody said, avoid him, don't go to their house because there's mental health. Another mother-in-law said to the son that we will not allow this, your wife, to bring madness into our family. We don't want madness. We won't allow her to bring it. That is stigma right from the home and the community.
So if it's the person is still on admission, the midwife sees it, the doctor sees it, they refer to a psychiatrist. If it's a family member, we bring the person to see a psychiatrist. We assess the person and then we intervene. There are medications, there are psychological interventions and other procedures for them so that we shorten the illness. As I've said, it has devastating effects on the baby, so the aim is to shorten it as much as possible. And in extreme cases, I've said that it can lead to self-harm on the mother's side and even death of the baby, called infanticide. So you can imagine that potentially it's quite dangerous, and you want to treat, intervene immediately, get the mother well, get her to bond with her baby, and let them have, a good mother and child time, family time. So yes, there are treatments.
There is a general lack of awareness and appreciation of postpartum mental health issues. Ghana's healthcare system often lacks sufficient resources, including mental health professionals, for postpartum depression screening and treatment.
About half of healthcare professionals in the country said they are not familiar with maternal mental health issues, and that is a big gap. Yes. Okay, so there's a gap in our own knowledge, skills, and ability as providers. And the providers have called for integration of maternal mental health, one, right from the point of training, at the point of training midwives, medical students, and the postgraduates, that we should hammer more on these things. Then they have the skills and the knowledge.
As a mother, if you know that you are supposed to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, that's what the public health nurses tell us all the time. And then, yet you have to go back to work after 3 months. There's going to be so much pressure on you to make sure that the breast milk is flowing, you bond with your baby, you put everything in place before you go back to work. And mind you, at that time, still, your hormones have not returned to normal. You physically, mentally, emotionally, you're not ready for work. You can't even be productive at work. And then also, one of the things that people don't talk about is mom guilt. So you're at work and you're feeling so guilty, leaving the 3-month-old is barely, it's still a newborn at home under the care of who? If you don't have the right assistance, then, who is it? So I believe that extending maternity leave, I feel that will play a major role in curbing some of these mental health challenges that we face.
Integration of mental health screening and support within maternal and child health services is not standardized across Ghana's healthcare facilities. This results in missed opportunities for early detection and intervention.
We need to have in place a system where we screen all pregnant women. So we are now proposing that the antenatal book that the women carry, we put a screening sheet inside. So first trimester, we check the scores. Second trimester, we check. Third trimester, after delivery. So we're able to tell that no, the scores are getting bad. So come on, let's get a clinical psychologist. Perinatal mental health problems are a major determinant of pregnancy and newborn outcomes in Ghana. Unfortunately, we don't have a national policy, and the healthcare systems don't have provisions to deal with it. All we need is to do routine screening. So there's the need for the Ministry of Health as the lead sector ministry to formulate the policy urgently. Then all the implementing agencies will take their source and inspiration from that. Until then, whatever we can do as healthcare givers, we will start giving a bit of attention to the mental health of our patients, and hope that we're able to get to the point where we screen routinely and quality maternal mental health is integrated into the routine maternal and newborn health care in Ghana.
Addressing postpartum mental issues requires a multifaceted approach involving advocacy, education, policy development, resource allocation, and community engagement. Efforts to increase awareness, reduce stigma, improve access to mental health services, and strengthen healthcare infrastructure are essential for joyous motherhood and childhood journeys.
Did you know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month? Yeah, it's a month set aside to spotlight mental health, the various issues that come out of that, and combating the stigmas associated with mental health. And the Mental Health Authority, they are doing their mandate by creating awareness. So I've been joined by Dr. Julius Hatche, who's a specialist psychologist in the studio with me this morning, to sort of educate you, our audience, on mental health issues and the need for you to take it seriously. And then we'll pivot into postpartum depression and how you can stay sane during those times. Dr. Julius Hatche, thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm okay.
So May is Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And how are you at the Mental Health Authority marking this, apart from the awareness creation that you're doing?
Okay. Thank you so much. So yes, you rightly mentioned May is the purple month. As it stands now, all over the country, we have mounted various billboards and pull-up stands to paint the whole nation purple, for everyone to be aware that there is an aspect of health that often has been neglected for so long, and that is the mental health of the people of Ghana. Apart from these media engagements that we've been having over the period, we've also been doing what we call school health creation, school mental health awareness creation. So we've been targeting primary schools, secondary schools, both in the government sector as well as private sector, to drum home the message of mental health awareness with regards to them. Apart from that too, we are also trying to reach out to the people who are in the communities, people who find themselves in the villages, especially beyond where they cannot have access to primary care. And so as it stands now, Mental Health Authority is in the Eastern region, where we are running specialist clinics and satellite clinics in those communities to screen them, so that people who come out with various mental illnesses will be referred appropriately for the necessary management.
You're doing well.
Thank you.
If I'd known earlier, I would have worn something purple to support you.
It's not too late. Tomorrow you can.
Tomorrow I can. So it's a whole month-long activity,
exactly.
Right? Now, often when you talk about mental health, people think there's something wrong with you. You know, if you say that you cannot engage in a certain activity for your mental health, you sound very bourgeoisie. But really, tell me, how crucial is it that we take our mental health seriously, and what should we be doing to ensure that we are taking care of our mental health?
Thank you so much. So yes, the mental health of an individual is actually the key to every other health that the individual will enjoy. There is about no disease or no illness on this planet that can affect an individual without an aspect of their mental health being affected equally. And so it's supposed to be the center for the planning of all our healthcare services as it stands now. Now, mental health care or protection of one's mental health does not require something that is so much that goes beyond anything that a nation like Ghana can provide. And it starts with just the little things, okay? Things like, for instance, this month, our team is moving more for mental health.
Moving more for mental health.
Exactly. And exercise is one very important thing. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything.
Except when you're going to the gym. No, but I get what you mean.
Exactly. You can just jog around the neighborhood. Just take some brisk walk around the neighborhood. And it brings so many benefits. It allows your body and your brains to release endorphins. It makes you feel good about yourself. It improves your mood, especially when you are meeting your fitness targets. Oh, so today I was able to make 1,000 steps. Then tomorrow,
that's me. I have the count thing.
Yeah,
counting my steps.
What's your target for today?
I do 5,000 a day on the average. On weekends, I try to do 10,000.
How do you feel when you are able to?
I feel fantastic.
You can imagine.
In fact, I've done it to a point where if I take a break for about a week, I don't feel good within myself. I feel like there's something missing.
It's missing.
Yeah.
It's missing. That achievement. You see how it builds your self-esteem.
Yeah.
You take a look at yourself in the mirror and you are like, whoa, I'm putting on the shape that I want.
All right.
You know?
Dr. Hache, apart from, we will talk about postpartum, but I'm curious to know, what are some of the common mental health issues that most Ghanaians face in this country?
Typically, we have a myriad of mental health issues, but what we tend to see more in the various clinics here include things like substance use disorders, depression and anxiety, what we call schizophrenia, and then the very common that has made the news recently, in recent times, is bipolar affective disorders and stuff like that. But then every now and then we get the wide range of them also appearing. But among the top 4, top 5, these are the things that usually we find over there.
Okay.
Depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar affective disorder, substance use disorders.
Let's stay on depression because we want to talk about postpartum depression. And why is it so important that new mothers or parents, whether fathers or mothers, understand what this means, when it happens, and how they can tackle it head on?
Yeah. So postpartum depression is so important because unlike almost all the other diseases and illnesses that happen to human beings, this involves not just one person. It involves a primary caregiver, which is the mother, and often the infant that is involved. And postpartum depression can get so bad and gets very complicated to the extent that the life of the mother becomes at risk because often they commit suicide. Yes. And sometimes even to the worst, infanticide. So unfortunately, they may kill themselves or even take the child's life as well. And it can also predispose the woman to further mental illnesses even in the future. So it's so important that every woman, everybody, every man, I should say, should even be aware of postpartum depression so that we can lend a hand to these women anytime that they deliver as a form of support to prevent the development of such untoward condition. You understand?
Just to bring our audience to speed, postpartum is a period right after childbirth where the woman's body or, the woman goes through a lot of changes. Could be physical, mental, emotional, and it encompasses a lot of changes. So then that brings me to my question to you. How different are each of these mothers' experiences, and how do you treat each one of them? And what are some of the misconceptions, really, about postpartum depression?
Yeah. So every individual is different, and the way postpartum depression may manifest in one person is often different from the other. And like you said, the postpartum period spans the period from the time that the baby is born up to about a year, even after delivery.
It lasts for a whole year.
Exactly.
See, that's one misconception.
Exactly.
From what I know, I thought it just lasts for 6 weeks.
So most people think that, the postpartum period is just 6 weeks after delivery, 42 days or so. But then we have noticed that for some of the mothers, they develop these conditions way after the 6 weeks. And so by general consensus in the psychiatric community, psychological community, we know that the diseases or the woman continues to remain at risk until the baby is a year after birth.
Okay.
You understand? Now, with regards to handling people who develop these particular conditions, it's not something that is extra beyond our abilities to do. First, there is the preventive aspect of it. We need to help these mothers to be able to take care of their babies. Like you rightly said, there's a mixture of things, psychological things, biological things, even physical things. Yeah. You understand? I personally saw my wife who delivered, and at the end of the day, she was taking a look at herself in a mirror one day. She didn't see me smiling at her, and she was like, you understand? Yeah. So the body shape has changed, and you can imagine how some of these women think about themselves in such a period. Someone who could wear all the tight-fitting dresses, now you have to wear something loose. And sometimes they think about the fact that I have to carry this baby everywhere I go and all that. So it becomes stressful, the sleeplessness that the postpartum period often comes with. It puts them at risk of developing all these complications that we know exist in the postpartum period.
You cannot fight an enemy you don't know, right? And yesterday I was asking some of my mom friends to, share some of the experiences with me. And one thing that ran through most of the experiences they shared is that they didn't even know that that's what was happening to them.
Exactly.
So my question is, how do you identify that, or how do you wake up and realize that what's happening to me, the depression, the lack of appetite, the gluttony, because some of them said they were eating so much, or the pregnancy nose that refuses to go away. How do you know that what's happening to me is temporary? It's just something that happens after childbirth, and then these are the things I can do to manage it.
So it starts with things like this, the opportunity, the media making a lot of noise about it to drum home the fact that every mother going through pregnancy who gives birth or delivers is at risk of developing postpartum psychosis. Then you need to also be aware of the symptoms that it comes with, the low moods, the crying spells. Sometimes they'll be there and they are crying for no apparent reason. And they become so irritable. The little thing, you ask them a simple question and they throw some tantrums at you. These are signs that we should be looking out for when we are with such mothers, especially when it comes with other biological features like difficulty in sleeping. Especially for most of these new mothers. You realize that because the baby sleeps maybe an hour or two, wakes up to feed again, the mother is unable to even find any rest in between the period. And it's even worse when they don't have any help from maybe an old mom who has come to stay with their grandson or granddaughter at the end of the day. So it comes with educating everybody to become aware of the various symptoms and manifestations of these postpartum conditions.
Let's talk about support for these women. I mean, the women themselves, these mothers themselves, might be going through these challenges and they don't even want to understand that it's a period. And because they are depressed, they don't want to accept the solutions that you're giving them. The influx of Western culture, let's not go far, social media. And how we, on the other side, can support these women. Because most of the time you go on social media, Instagram especially, and you see new mothers with some nice body and they are, making you feel, you the new mother, feel as if there's something wrong with you because your stomach is still very soggy and it doesn't. So let's talk about how we, who are not mothers, can support these women during this period and how we can actually help them or win them off the influence of social media during this period.
So as you rightly said, social media can be a very bad thing, but it has very good advantages. I've seen women who rant on various women-specific pages or groups, and it gives them some form of psychological relief. They share their problems anonymously, and other women come in to contribute, and they take a cue or two from the advice that they may get from there. So essentially, it's about women supporting each other. Women, often we say women are their own
What
enemies.
about the men? Because, I mean, in whatever the case, there's always a man present when a child is born, right?
Ultimately, it's very important. Well, I'm directing it at women because your question was primarily mentioning women. But then the support should come from both sides. If you have a supportive husband, or all husbands are expected to be supportive, you don't give birth to a new child and leave the woman to take care of the child alone. There is the need to lend a helping hand. Sometimes you may not be able to bath the baby, but at least just fetching the water for the woman gives the woman a certain level of assurance that they are not alone in this. Sometimes the words of encouragement that you keep telling the woman, you let her know that even the change in form, the change in the size of her nose
makes her more
beautiful. Her more beautiful. Exactly. You know how good that makes people feel when they are praised. So that also comes in. Then with regards to getting extra hands also in the home to help. If you can afford it, get somebody to help you, pay the person, or someone to come in every now and then to help with the washing of the baby's clothes, so that madam can also have some rest at the end of the day. It helps them, the women, to feel encouraged. It helps them to feel more relaxed and able to cope with the stresses that the period comes with.
Okay, we have to go, but I want you to speak specifically to mothers who may be watching us right now. What would be your advice as a specialist psychiatrist on how to manage postpartum if they're going through that? You can look into your camera.
Okay, thank you so much. So for all the women out there who are currently going through the period of postpartum with some form of depression or the other, I would encourage them to know that they are not alone. They have every help. We are willing at the level of the various health facilities to offer a helping hand to them to help them navigate the period smoothly. So if any woman is listening to me right now and they have any challenge, I will encourage them to report to the mental health unit of the nearest healthcare facility, and they will get the necessary help and assistance that they may require.
Thank you, Dr. Julius Hache, for ushering us into this purple month.
Thank you so
Better
much.
late than never, right?
Thank you.
All right. So Dr. Julius Hache is a specialist psychiatrist, and he's also with the Mental Health Authority, specifically at Pantang
Hospital.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
but that's not all. Before we wrap up today, let me tell you something more interesting. Attention, all HD Plus subscribers. Starting 13 June 2024, SES HD Plus Ghana will provide HD channels to free-to-air TV homes at no cost. This means that all users of the multi-TV platform will have access to HD channels without paying HD Plus subscriptions. Key points to remember. 1. As of 16th April 2024, no new HD Plus subscription purchases or activations will be available. Existing HD Plus decoders will receive free-to-air channels until 13th of June 2024. 2. Subscribers with active subscriptions beyond 13 June 2024 will be compensated. Such customers will be contacted by the HD Plus number 0242 439 872 from 30th April. Such subscribers are encouraged to call the HD Plus number 9872 from 1st of June. Now, 3, from 30th of May 2024, you have to update your HD Plus decoder to access the all-new free-to-air HD channels. Support will be available until the 20th of June 2024. So, kindly look out for the over-the-air software and upgrade your decoder upon release of the software. For users of compatible Samsung QLED and UHD integrated TV sets, should note that the My HD Plus TV app and My HD Plus mobile app will not be available from 30th of May 2024. And so be on the lookout to upgrade and get a call if you fall in that category. But before I go, a happy birthday message to a really sweet person and hard worker, Rhoda Miller of the Joy Super Morning Show, coming from the Super Morning Show team. May God richly bless and keep you. Oh, no, it's from Benjamin Akako and the rest of the AM show crew. We are wishing you a happy birthday. And like we do, I'll leave you with the photo of the day. If you're ready, this is the photo of the day. But that's the end of the AM show for today. My name is Benjamin Akako. Of course, I said Benjamin Akako. And I do this with Sweetie Aboshi. I leave you with photo of the day. We're back on your screens again tomorrow. Enjoy.